Settle in, dear friend. Let the evening be simple. There is a small pool of lamplight on your table. Maybe there is a warm cup within reach, a little cloud of steam rising and fading. You can feel the support of your chair or bed beneath you, steady and kind. Let your shoulders loosen by a few degrees. The day can set itself down at the door. You do not have to hold it all right now. Before we go on, let me know where you're listening from. And if this brings you peace, please subscribe to Calm Buddha Path so more people can find it. Notice the quiet rhythm of your breathing, not forcing anything, just the soft tide of air sliding in and the longer, easy drift out. If it feels right, let your exhale be a touch slower than your inhale, as if your body is sighing in a language older than words. Feel the weight of your hands, the way gravity is always offering you a place to rest. You have permission to rest. You have permission to be exactly as you are. Tonight, we begin a gentle journey into discipline. Not the hard-edged discipline that scolds and tightens the jaw. Not the kind that turns life into a checklist and the heart into a clenched fist. We are exploring the kind of discipline that feels like friendship with your own days. It is the quiet structure that plants peace in a wild mind. It is the rhythm that carries you when motivation flickers and disappears. Think of it as a soft container, a cup that holds the water of your attention so you can actually drink. Maybe your mind is busy. Notifications keep tugging at the sleeve of your focus. You sit down to do one thing, and 5 side alleyways open, each promising a quick hit of novelty. You scroll. You skim. You remember a message you forgot to send. A sinkful of dishes becomes urgent. The mind races like a puppy chasing leaves. There is no shame in this. The modern world was designed to pull on your attention with the strength of a riptide. But you are not powerless in that water. Gentle discipline is the small, steady swim that brings you back to shore. In this approach, we begin by listening. Gentle discipline grows out of clear seeing. When you notice the kind of pressure that shuts you down, you can choose a different tone. If your inner voice is a drill sergeant, no wonder your energy hides. If your inner voice is sleepy and vague, no wonder your plans float away. Let us try the voice of a kind mentor. Firm without harshness, warm without losing direction. Says, here is what matters tonight, and here is one doable step. It says, we will show up for that step, and we will accept imperfect outcomes with grace. Right now, try saying softly inside, I am here. Then add, I will do one thing at a time. Feel how these 2 sentences meet like 2 palms joining. I am here brings you into the room, into this breath, into your senses. I will do one thing at a time gives your presence a channel to flow through. Together they create a track, like a gentle groove on a record, guiding the needle of attention. There is a simple truth nestled beneath all the noise. Busy minds tend to imagine that more intensity will save the day. If I push harder, clench harder, demand more of myself, then I will finally become who I am supposed to be. But intensity without clarity just burns fuel. The Buddha compared the training of the mind to tuning a lute. If the strings are too tight, the instrument snaps or the sound is harsh. If the strings are too loose, the song is dull and nothing rings true. Somewhere between the extremes, the tone is alive. We can find that tone for your life, for your learning, for your rest. Consider a small scene from earlier today. You opened your laptop to finish a message that matters. A friend, a colleague, a client. And then a tab blinked. News. A headline with a little spark of alarm. You thought quickly, I will just peek. 10 minutes later your chest felt crowded and the message remained unsent. This is not a personal failure. This is simply how craving and aversion pull the mind. Craving says, give me novelty, give me something juicy, give me more. Aversion says, I do not want the discomfort of writing that message because what if it is not perfect, what if I stumble? Confusion says, maybe I should reorganize my files instead. Maybe I should find a new app. Gentle discipline smiles at all three. Says, I see you and I will choose the next kind step anyway. Here is a micro practice to try now and later. 1 clear minute. For about a minute, choose a single small action. If it feels right, decide on something humble like closing extra tabs, or placing your phone in another room, or writing just the first sentence of that message. Sit with the intention for 2 breaths, then do the action. If it feels too much at any moment, you can pause and return to sensing your breath and the ground beneath you. The minute ends when your shoulders drop. Notice how this is a kind promise. You are not promising to conquer your inbox or finish a chapter. You are promising to make one space, take one step. The mind softens when promises are kind because the body believes you. Over time, these 1-minute promises become a path. You might be asking, why not go big? Why not decide that from now on you will meditate for an hour at dawn, answer all emails within the hour, and give up every distraction? It can be tempting to rebuild your entire life at midnight. But when the sun comes up, the human animal needs gentleness. The nervous system needs trust. Grand pledges made in a surge of will often collapse, and then shame sneaks in. Gentle discipline is quieter and more durable. It meets you where you are and steps with you at the speed of honesty. Imagine the Buddha walking with his friends along a dusty path. In one telling, a monk who had been pushing himself to extremes came to him, angry at his own mind, angry at his lack of progress. He had been starving his body, scorching his attention, trying to force his way into peace. The Buddha asked if he had ever played an instrument. Yes, the monk said, a stringed one. How do you tune its strings? The Buddha asked. Not too tight and not too loose. The monk smiled, the lesson landing like cool water. Your practice is the same. If you pull too hard, the string breaks. If you let it slack completely, nothing sings. That middle tone is not mediocre. It is alive, responsive, and strong. That is the discipline we will invite here. You can embody this lesson in ordinary rooms. When you sit down to work, you can tune the string by how you arrange your space. 1 lamp, not 10. 1 cup, not 3. The tools you need within reach, the glittering distractions tucked away. If it helps, give yourself a preface sentence spoken gently out loud. Now I will begin the next kind thing. When you feel the mind dart to check messages, thank it for trying to protect you from discomfort, and return to the sentence at hand. Every return is a success. Every return polishes the groove you are carving. Let us try another micro-practice, short and sweet. The gentle gait, 10 to 30 seconds. If it feels right, place a palm on your chest or belly. Let your next out-breath lengthen a little without effort. Whisper inside, soften. Then pick the single task you are doing and name it in plain language, like stirring the soup, reading the next paragraph, listening to my child, brushing my teeth. You can pause anytime. The practice is over when you feel even a small drop of steadiness. You might worry that such softness will make you lazy. This is a common fear. Many of us learned that the only way to be reliable is to scare ourselves into action. But fear is an unreliable fuel. It burns hot and leaves ash. Kindness is renewable. It does not mean never holding a line. It means holding a line the way a loving parent holds a boundary, with warmth, clarity, and no sharp edges. When your inner voice speaks that way, your body unclenches. Focus grows not from fear but from trust. There is another kind of kindness hidden inside discipline. Clear endings. A lot of mental noise comes from things that never end. You open a task, then never close it, and it hums in the background, stealing small bites of attention all day. Gentle discipline loves closure. Not grand, not dramatic. Just a simple ritual of completion. When you finish writing, you say out loud, "Done for now." You take one breath, feel the chair, and stand up. If the task is unfinished, you jot the very next step on a small card and place it where tomorrow you will see it. Then you stop. That stop is a kindness. It teaches your nervous system that life has edges, and those edges are safe. If it feels right, we can make a tiny vow for the next 24 hours. You can even write it down. The vow is this: I keep promises that fit inside my real life. If the day is packed, your promise shrinks. If the day opens wide, your promise can widen a little. Either way, you keep it. This is how trust grows. With trust, the busy mind finds a friend it can lean against. Let's also talk about friction. There are 3 familiar frictions that muddy focus. Craving wants more stimulation and novelty. Aversion resists discomfort and effort. Confusion fogs the path so you cannot tell what matters. We will meet each of them over these nights. For now, just notice which one visited you most today. Did you find yourself chasing one more video, one more snack, one more quick check? That is craving. Did you delay beginning because the first minutes felt prickly? That is aversion. Did you keep rearranging your plans because you weren't sure what mattered? That is confusion. Naming them is powerful. When you name a visitor, you are less likely to mistake it for your identity. There is a sweet paradox at the heart of this training. When you loosen the grip of self-judgment, you become more dependable. When you allow mistakes without drama, you make fewer of them. When you choose simple consistency over heroic bursts, you actually finish things. This is not mystical. It is how attention works. The mind prefers paths it can trust. Be that path for yourself. Try one more brief practice with me now, one that plants a seed for tomorrow. Closing the day with a line. For 1 minute, if it feels right, think of a single action you will begin with tomorrow. Make it small and clear, like send the 2-sentence reply to Sam, or wipe the counter before coffee, or 5-minute sit with eyes open by the window. Write it in the simplest words you can. Place the note where morning you will meet it kindly, perhaps beside your mug or near your keyboard. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when you feel a little more spacious about tomorrow. This is not about becoming a productivity machine. It is about learning to live in a way that feels more like you. Discipline, in this sense, is self-respect in motion. It says to your future self, I care about you enough to make this easier. It says to your present self, I care about you enough to not make this cruel. It says to the frightened parts inside, I will not abandon you when the first discomfort arrives. I will stand beside you warm and steady, and we will take one step. As we settle deeper into the evening, let's return to the body. Feel the fabric against your skin, the slight temperature of the room, the way the jaw can unclasp when it knows nothing urgent is required of it. Let your breath wander into your back ribs and then pour out like a gentle stream returning to earth. If the mind pushes, let it push against a pillow, not a wall. If the mind drifts, let it drift like a leaf in a slow river. You do not need to be stern with yourself to rest. Rest comes when sternness loosens its grip. There will be days ahead when energy is low and focus frays easily. There will be moments when the old habit of pushing too hard or giving up completely tries to take the wheel. When those moments arrive, remember the lute. Remember the middle tone. Ask, what would the tuned string sound like right now? Sometimes it sounds like standing up to stretch. Sometimes it sounds like sending the message even though your cheeks feel warm. Sometimes it sounds like shutting everything down and going for a short walk under a little patch of sky. The music of your life is played by choosing that tone again and again. You are doing something brave by meeting your busy mind with gentleness. Many people never try. Many people stay hidden inside stories of not enough or too much, of all or nothing. You are rewriting that script by how you sit in this very breath. You are teaching your body that calm can be earned without force. You are teaching your mind that clarity can be invited without chasing. You are teaching your heart that care is stronger than fear. Before we close tonight, feel the support underneath you once more. Feel how the earth, through floor and cushion and chair, is always holding you. Take a long, unhurried exhale. Then another that is just a whisper longer than you're used to. If it feels right, imagine placing today like a book on a shelf. You can take it down tomorrow if needed, but not tonight. Tonight your room is enough. Your breath is enough. Your simple human beingness is enough. May your discipline be tender and sure. May your focus be a clear window that opens to what matters. May your rest be deep and unforced. May you wake to a morning where the next kind step is already waiting for you like a friendly cup on the counter. And if you forget, if you stumble, if you choose distraction and then return with a smile, know that this too is the practice. The return is the path. The path is yours. Sleep if you wish, or simply sit with the quiet. There is time. There is space. There is a song in the tuned string of your life, and we will keep learning to play it together, gently. Let the room be dim and kind. Maybe there is a soft breeze moving through a slightly open window, or the quiet whir of a fan smoothing the edges of the evening. The fabric beneath your hands is simple and friendly. If you have water nearby, notice the cool weight of the glass and the way it meets your palm. The day has thinned at the edges. You can allow yourself to thin with it, not disappearing, just loosening your grip on the rush of hours that carried you here. In this part, we practice arriving, not as an idea, but as a felt experience of your body settling into now. Arrival is a discipline of its own. It is the foundation under every clear intention. Without arrival, focus slides off the surface of the moment like rain off oiled cloth. With arrival, even small actions carry depth. You do not have to push. You have to meet the place where you already are. Begin with the simplest anchor. Let your breathing come and go at its natural rhythm. Notice the slight coolness when air enters your nose and the tiny warmth as it leaves. If it feels right, invite your exhale to wander a little longer, not by force, more like you are giving it permission to linger. Feel the body's weight. The support under you is trustworthy. Imagine your muscles as a flock of birds settling onto a still lake, one by one. Gentle discipline starts here with the training to notice and to stay. Staying does not mean rigid stillness. It means fidelity to this moment as it shifts. In staying, you become reliable to yourself. Your attention learns to return the way a loyal dog returns when you call its name. Not perfectly, not every time, but more and more. Try this short practice, a way of making arrival tangible. 3-count landing. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, rest your attention on your next 3 exhales. Let them be easy. You might quietly count them as they pass. 1, 2, 3, and pause for a heartbeat after each to feel the soft settling. If at any moment your mind wanders, you can simply begin again with the next out-breath. You can stop at any time. The landing is complete when your chest feels slightly less guarded. Often, busy minds treat settling like just another task. We ask the body to relax faster, and when it doesn't, we turn the volume up on striving. That is aversion wearing a productivity mask. The move we practice here is different. We court cooperation instead of compliance. We invite instead of demand. The body is a good listener when spoken to gently. Notice anything that tenses as soon as you consider focusing. For some, it is the brow. For others, the throat, the belly, the back of the neck. Your attention can move like a hand laying down a warm cloth on those places. There is no magic technique required. Only willingness to visit, to say hello to the knot without poking it. One more small practice to help you arrive when the world is loud. Name the now. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right, name 3 things you sense in simple words. cool air on forearms, distant traffic, the steady shape of the chair. If your mind resists, you can pause and return to the feeling of an exhale. You may stop at any time. The practice ends when your senses feel a little more colorful. When you name the now, you widen the lens. Craving loses some fuel because novelty is already here in the details of the present. Aversion has less ground because you are not fighting the moment. You are describing it. Confusion clears not because you solved every question, but because you touched something real. Let's talk about posture in a friendly way. If you are lying down, that is fine. If you are sitting, let your spine find a curve that feels dignified without strain. Imagine the crown of your head is gently lifted by a thread of light, while your shoulders pour down like warm sand. This is not about correctness. It is about the body learning that alertness and ease can coexist. When the body learns this, the mind follows. You may notice thoughts rolling in like weather. Some are light and harmless. Others carry charge. Maybe a memory of a sharp conversation. Maybe a worry about a bill. Maybe a bright idea for tomorrow. Let them come. The discipline is to keep your seat at the center of your own attention. Thoughts can swirl through, but you are the one who stays. If a thought hooks you and you drift for a minute, there is no penalty. The return is the practice. The return is always the path. Try a micro-practice you can use in between tasks during any day. The 2-gate breath. For 15 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, imagine your inhale as stepping through the first gate into presence, and your exhale as stepping through the second gate into soft focus. As you breathe in, quietly think, here. As you breathe out, quietly think, this. You can pause whenever you like. The practice is complete when the mind's buzz has lowered by a notch. These tiny practices matter because they are doable in real life. You don't need a cushion or a bell. You need your own willingness to pause for a few heartbeats, even in a hallway at work, in a parked car, in the kitchen while water runs over a plate. Gentle discipline is portable. It is, in a way, the art of threading softness through the seams of your day. Now we will expand the arrival a little further and give it shape. Imagine that your attention is a lantern. Most days, the lantern swings and the light skitters across surfaces, catching on the shiniest object and jumping again. Tonight, try setting the lantern on a table. The light is steadier when the base is steady. The base is your body. The fuel is your breath. The room it lights is the field of this moment. If you want, place a hand where you feel breathing most clearly, perhaps your upper chest, your belly, or your side ribs. See if you can be curious about the subtle expansion on the inhale, how three-dimensional it is, how it lifts and widens. Then the release on the exhale, like a quiet tide flowing back to sea. If it feels right, let the exhale be your friend. Many people live with the accelerator pressed. The exhale is a gentle brake, not a jolt, a glide. We often think of focus as tightness, narrow eyes, furrowed brow. But the clearest focus I have known feels like a clean window, not a small keyhole. You see what matters because the view is uncluttered. Arrival clears the glass. Discipline keeps you from smudging it with constant reaching. You might ask, how does this relate to real tasks? Emails, reports, parenting, studying. Imagine starting any of those from a settled body instead of a clenched one. The first paragraph you write will be simpler. The conversation with your child will be less reactive. The study session will have fewer false starts. Settling is not the whole journey, but it is the doorway. Skipping the doorway and aiming for the far wall is how we bruise our shins. If distraction is your companion tonight, we can treat it with deliberate kindness. The brain loves to chase. When it chases, it secretes tiny flavors of excitement. That is normal. Rather than fighting the biology, we can channel it. Give your brain a small, kind game to play that keeps it in the room. single sound listening. For 30 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, choose one soft sound in your environment. Maybe the fan, maybe your own breath, maybe a distant hum. Let that sound be the thread you follow. When other sounds arrive, nod to them and return to the thread. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when you feel a touch more anchored. This is not about proving your worth. It is about proving to your frightened nervous system that calm and clarity are available without punishment. Many of us grew up with the story that we need to be pushed hard to be good. But goodness flowers in good soil. The soil here is steady presence. Let's bring in an everyday scene. A parent stands at the sink, late evening, the house finally quieter. A cup bears a ring of tea at the bottom. The mind, sensing space, rushes to fill it. Tomorrow's lunches, the email from school, the text left unanswered, the project waiting after bedtime. The shoulders climb toward the ears. The jaw tightens. In that small moment, arrival is available. The parent feels the temperature of the water on the back of their fingers. The sound of the stream hitting the porcelain. The slow loosen of an exhale. 2-gate breath. Here. This. The shoulders drop half an inch. Nothing solved, yet something is better. The mind is less frantic and the next action, rinsing, drying, turning off the tap, happens with less noise. Multiply that by dozens of small moments and a day changes flavor. Another scene. You sit down to write a paragraph you have been avoiding. The cursor blinks like a tiny metronome. Aversion hums. Craving whispers, let's check something fun. Confusion shrugs, maybe this isn't the right time. Instead of picking a fight with those voices, you arrive. Name the now. The feel of your fingers on the keys. The warmth of your thighs against the chair. 1, 2, 3 exhales. The first sentence appears not brilliant, but real. Gentle discipline smiles. The lantern is on the table again. Sometimes arrival brings up feeling. When you slow down enough to meet yourself, veils lift. A sadness that was waiting behind busyness peeks through. Or a thin layer of fear. Or even a joy you had been postponing. If that happens, it does not mean you are doing it wrong. It means you are trusted by your own nervous system. If the feeling is big, let your anchor widen. Feel the contact with the chair. Find the nearest stable surface with your hand. See the contours of the nearest object. You can always return to the world of simple sensations when inner weather turns stormy. There is a form of gentle discipline we rarely name. Ending well. Arrival also applies to endings. When you stand up from a task, bring your attention back to the body for one breath, then mark the end with a tiny ritual. You might say, that is enough for now, or even tap your desk lightly with your knuckles. Your mind will learn the shape of closure. Without closure, the mind leaves 1,000 little doors half open and the hallway grows drafty. Another micro-practice for the hinge between tasks. The soft stop. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right after finishing a small action, sending a message, washing a cup. Pause and rest your hands in stillness. Feel the ground through your feet or the support beneath you. Whisper inside, done for now. You can leave at any time. The practice is complete when you sense a faint click of closure. We are not aiming at some grand transformation by morning. We are building reliability in ounces. You learn that you can arrive in the space of a single breath. You learn that you can end with a soft stop. Those two together begin to form a frame. Within that frame, your day is more likely to hold the shape you intended. The difference is quiet but real, like a room where someone has tidied the corners and opened a window. If you enjoy images, picture a small garden just at the edge of your home. Each time you arrive in the way we are practicing, it is like watering the soil. Each soft stop is like removing a dead leaf. The plants do not change overnight, but they steadily become themselves. Your attention is the gardener. Your body is the earth. Your breath is the simple water the whole thing needs. You may notice the ancient habit of self-measurement creeping in. Am I doing this right? Am I calm yet? Am I calm enough? That is craving wearing a new coat. The answer is always the same. Return to this exhale, to this weight of your body, to this gentle decision to be here. There is no scoreboard. There is only practice, and the practice is kind. Now, a slightly longer arriving sequence just once to show your body what is possible in 2 or 3 minutes. Let your mouth soften. Let your tongue rest heavy behind your lower teeth. Feel your eyes relax back into their sockets, like stones settling into riverbeds. Sense the back of your heart, the part that faces the world behind you. Imagine it unclenching a shade. If it feels right, breathe in a little fuller and let the outbreath ride all the way to the bottom without force, the way a wave empties onto sand. Notice the exact moment the inhale begins again on its own. Trust that. Do this 3 times. Then let the breath return to normal and sit inside the afterglow. If your mind tells you this is a luxury you cannot afford, ask it gently. What is the cost of never arriving? Most of us pay that cost without noticing. Agitation, half-finished efforts, a sense of being always behind even when moving quickly. Arrival is not a luxury. It is the efficient path. It removes the friction of constant reactivity and replaces it with a clean start. Consider evening rituals that support arrival. A small candle lit at the same time each night, even for 5 minutes. A window open to the night air. A short walk to the mailbox without the phone. These are not rules. They are doors. They teach the body that the evening will include tasteable pauses. The more your body believes in these pauses, the less it clings to stimulation to feel safe. If you are someone who lies down and feels the mind ramp up, you can bring arrival into the first minutes in bed. Feel the mattress cradle you, the way it rises to meet your shape. Sense the gentle heaviness of your limbs. Choose a number, maybe 10, and count 10 easy exhales, not to hit a target but to give your attention a path. If you lose count, begin again from 1. There is no finish line. Only the warmth of the present spreading out like a blanket. A final practice for tonight, to weave arrival into tomorrow morning. First footing. When you wake, if it feels right, let the first foot that touches the floor be a bell. As it lands, think here. As the second foot lands, think now. Stand for 1 breath before reaching for anything. You can skip this whenever it doesn't fit. The practice is complete when you feel a thread of steadiness following you into the day. This is how gentle discipline grows robust. It is not built in the heat of a single vow. It is made of slender threads placed again and again in the same direction, until they become a rope you can hold. Arrival is one of those threads. You will forget it sometimes. You will remember it in odd places, at a red light, in a grocery aisle, at the threshold of a room. Each time you recall it, it strengthens, the way a path through tall grass becomes clear after many passes. Before we close, check in with your body once more. Are there corners that still feel armored? You can visit them with a little friendliness, as if you were walking through your home at night, turning off the last lights. The jaw, click. The shoulders, click. The belly, click. There is no need to achieve perfect softness. We are not marble, we are living. A little more ease is enough. Let the evening hold you. Let the breath be simple. Let the lantern of attention sit steady on its table. You are allowed to be here without performing. You are allowed to be here without proving. You are allowed to be here. May your arriving become natural, like the tide meeting the shore. May your breath be a patient guide. May your body relearn trust quietly and honestly. And may the small practices we planted tonight take root in the soil of your days, so that focus feels less like a battle and more like a friendly path home. There is a hush at the window tonight. Maybe a fine rain combs the air, soft as a lullaby. The curtain lifts and settles with each small breath of wind, as if the room itself were breathing alongside you. Your pillow or cushion cools and warms in cycles beneath your skin. You can sense the quiet pulse behind your ears, the slow drum of a day winding down. Let the outside world blur at the edges. It is safe to set your attention here. We have arrived together again and again, learning to let the body lead the mind into ease. Now we turn to a core idea that steadies everything we will build. Gentle discipline begins with aim. Not a rigid target that punishes you for missing, but a simple, living direction that points your days. Aim is like placing your feet toward home before you take the first step. Without it, even strong effort scatters. With it, small efforts line up and begin to pull in the same direction. Aim is different from mood. Moods come and go, tides of chemistry and story. Aim is the quiet promise you make to your deeper values. You might be tired, excited, doubtful, or distracted, and still keep the promise in a small way. The Buddha often steered students away from extremes, not by commanding emotion, but by clarifying intention. When the intention is kind and clear, energy knows where to flow. Your moments gather instead of leaking. Try this right now as an experiment you can feel in your bones. Ask yourself what matters gently in the next slice of time. Not what proves me, not what impresses anyone. Simply what matters kindly. Perhaps it is finishing a paragraph, rinsing a cup, brushing your teeth with presence, taking your evening medication, or sending a brief note that reduces someone's worry. Let one such thing rise without argument. Feel how your body responds when a single thread is held up to the light. Aim is not loud. Aim doesn't shout. It hums. It hums in the background like the refrigerator at night, reliable and calm. When distraction beckons, you can hear the hum and return. When aversion whispers, not now, later, maybe never, you can feel the hum and step anyway. When confusion fogs you with options, you can follow the hum like a lighthouse in mist. This is not heroic. It is ordinary and tender. There is a trap that swallows many busy minds. Urgency masquerading as importance. The nervous system loves the sparkle of the urgent because it delivers a quick jolt that briefly cuts through fog. But a life steered only by jolts becomes a pinball game. Aim gives you a compass. The compass does not argue with storms. It simply keeps pointing north. On some days, north is a single clear sentence written and sent. On other days, north is 10 minutes of quiet on the floor with your child. The north changes shape, but the compass feeling remains. Here is a tiny practice that grows this compass. One true thing. For 30 to 60 seconds, choose one action that expresses a value you care about. If it feels right, name it softly. Kindness to future me, steadiness in work, care for the body, connection. Then state the smallest action that fits that value right now in simple words. Do just that. If it feels too much, you can pause and return to sensing your breath or the weight of your body. The practice is complete when you feel a faint yes in your chest or belly. This matters because gentle discipline is not about pressure. It is about alignment. When a small action lines up with a deep value, resistance drops a little. You are not fighting yourself. You are cooperating with who you wish to be. The mind, which often clings to novelty, craving, or flees from sensation it dislikes, aversion, or gets lost in options, confusion, finds a path it can trust. Do the one true thing, then rest or move to the next. Many people try to build focus with grand structures. New systems, complicated apps, elaborate rules. There is nothing wrong with tools. But tools without aim are noisemakers. You can spend hours polishing a tool while the important thing waits right beside you, patient and unglamorous. A single sincere sentence of aim is more powerful than a complex plan built to avoid discomfort. Aim meets discomfort with friendliness, not with avoidance or attack. Imagine a morning at your desk. Messages have multiplied in the night. Your hand twitches toward the inbox, toward feeds, toward the little red circles that promise relief. Pause. Listen for the hum. Ask the question, what matters kindly in the next slice of time? Perhaps it is outlining 3 bullet points for a proposal. Perhaps it is reading and replying to one message that has waited too long. Choose name, begin. The aim turns on a light in the room. You can still feel the pull to peek, the itch to avoid, but they are like birds tapping at a window while you drink water. You notice them without letting them run the house. Another scene. It is late. You are washing your face, and a familiar scroll impulse rises. Your thumb has a mind of its own. Aim whispers, care for the body. The smallest action fitting that value might be to put the phone on the counter, screen down, and feel 10 slow breaths with eyes closed. Not as a rule, but as a kindness. If you skip without shame. If you do it, you feel the thread strengthen. Either way, you are practicing listening for the hum. Aim without kindness turns brittle. It becomes the old hardness in a new outfit. We are after something more supple. Think of bamboo. It bends and holds. Your aim can bend when life asks it to. Sick child, sudden need, a body asking for rest. Your aim shifts its shape without losing its spirit. One true thing shrinks to match your real circumstances. That flexibility is part of the discipline. Rigid vows break. Living vows breathe. To keep aim alive, you can refresh it like you'd refill a glass. Not once a month in a long ceremony, but many times a day quietly. The refresh takes seconds, not minutes. It is a glance at the compass, a tiny tilt of the wheel back toward north. Over time, these tilts change the line of your life the way a degree of difference changes a ship's landfall. A micro-practice for refreshing aim in the thick of things. Compass touch. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, place 2 fingers lightly on your sternum or the center of your chest. Ask what is kind and important right now. Let one answer appear without debate. Whisper it once inside, then resume. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when your next action feels 1 notch clearer. There is another piece to aim, reducing the friction that drags you sideways. The mind is not failing when it chases. It is doing what it learned to do in a world engineered to be sticky. You can support your aim by making the path smoother and the side paths a little bumpy. Not as punishment, as design. You might keep your phone across the room during focus minutes, not because you lack will, but because willpower is a leaky bucket. You can install tiny delays, requiring a password for entertainment sites, leaving headphones in a drawer, keeping only the document you need open. Each small design is a vote for your aim. Gentle discipline says, I believe in you enough to make the right thing easier. Try this, a simple design ritual you can do in any space. Clear the next step. For 45 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, prepare the physical space for the one true thing you chose. Put away 2 items that don't belong. Place the tool you need within reach. Write the first phrase or next literal action on a sticky note. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when the path feels smoother by 1 inch. You might worry that all this ease and kindness will slow you down. Let's check the fear. Has hardness sped you up reliably? Or has it produced sprints followed by crashes? Gentleness is not laziness. It is fuel that burns clean. It is structure without shame. When you soften the way you hold your aim, you can carry it farther. The 3 frictions will still visit. Craving will try to sell you the idea that a quick hit will help you start. Aversion will insist the first minutes are unbearable. Confusion will spread options like a deck of cards and ask you to reshuffle forever. You do not have to dislike these visitors. You can greet them, name them, and ask them to sit in the corner while you do what matters kindly. Here is a practice for meeting the visitors. Name and choose. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, pause and identify which of the three frictions is present. Quietly say, craving is here, or aversion is here, or confusion is here. Then add, and I choose one kind step anyway. Do the first inch of the task. You can stop anytime. The practice is complete when you feel even a light click of commitment. Naming does not erase discomfort. It gives you a handle. Handles help you lift weight without strain. When you lift with a handle, the same weight feels more manageable. When you name the friction, the same task feels more possible. Aim also lives in language. The words you speak to yourself either harden or soften your path. Notice the difference between I have to and I get to and I choose to. I have to tightens the throat. I get to can feel false when you are tired. I choose to is clean. It restores your agency. If you are too exhausted to choose to rest. That too can be your one true thing. Let's bring this into a common setting. The meeting that meanders. You know the kind. Threads spool out, attention dilutes, the conversation circles. Your aim could be presence and clarity. The smallest action might be to summarize what you heard and ask a gentle, grounding question. So our next step is X by Y. Does that sound right? Not to control others, but to serve the shared intention. This is gentle discipline extended outward. It is a gift to the room. Another setting, studying. You sit down with a chapter and 3 pens and the quiet fear that you won't retain anything. Aim is not finish the chapter or be brilliant. Aim might be understand one key concept well enough to explain it to a friend. The action is to read the first 2 paragraphs slowly and say out loud, in plain language, what you learned. The brain calms when the path is clear and doable. The hum grows audible. We have spoken of the tuned string. Aim is the tune you choose to play before you pick up the instrument. But you are not the only player in the orchestra of your day. There are other instruments. Family, co-workers, the public, the weather, the world. You cannot control their notes. You can keep your tune kind and steady. Sometimes your tune will harmonize. Sometimes it will be a soft counterpoint. Either way, it is yours. There is a practice many find powerful in the evening, when minds are most likely to drift toward either endless stimulation or numbing. Compose before consume. For 1 to 3 minutes, if it feels right, create something small before you take anything in. A few lines in a journal, a tiny sketch, a thank you note, a short voice memo of gratitude, a single sentence of planning for tomorrow. You can stop at any time. The practice is complete when you feel a little more like a participant than a passenger. This flips a common pattern. Instead of starting with intake, you start with expression. The act of composing, even in miniature, clarifies aim. Afterward, if you choose to watch or read something, it comes from steadiness, not escape. It helps to remember that you are training identity as much as behavior. Not a heavy identity, not a title engraved in stone, but a light posture. I am someone who returns. The return is the actual muscle we are strengthening. You will leave the path many times a day. The leaving is part of the pattern. What matters is the gentle, reliable return. The more you return without drama, the less tempting it becomes to leave for long. When you forget, let the forgetting be soft. You look up and realize an hour vanished into a bright screen. Instead of declaring the day ruined, you come back to the hum. One true thing. Clear the next step. Name and choose. The rope of practice is woven from many such returns. Shame adds knots. Kindness smooths them out. In all of this, the body remains your friend. Aim is not just a thought. It is a posture you can feel. The body knows the difference between scattered reaching and directed presence. Try this simple somatic tilt. Aim in the body. For 20 to 40 seconds, if it feels right, Let your chin draw back slightly so the back of your neck lengthens. Imagine your breastbone softening down and forward by a millimeter. Feel your weight settle evenly through sit bones or along the length of your body if you're lying down. Without effort, sense a subtle forward-leaning intention as if you were about to stand. Not tension, just readiness. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when your attention feels gathered without clutching. Notice the tone of your inner narration as you practice. If it slips toward scolding, widen the lens. You can be firm and sweet at the same time. A gardener does not shout at seedlings to grow. They water, remove weeds, protect from harsh wind, and trust the small intelligence inside each stem. As the night stretches, you might feel the pull of old patterns. They will not vanish because you heard new words. They shift because you live new minutes. Aim is lived 1 minute at a time. That is a relief. You do not have to solve your whole life. You only have to inhabit the next kind step. The rest unfolds. Before we close, let's plant tomorrow's aim as a seed. You do not need to know the whole plan. Just choose one value to anchor the morning. Care, clarity, craft, connection, restfulness, honesty. Pick one. Now choose the smallest expression of that value that will be present before noon. Brew tea before checking anything. Send one real message. Write the first 2 lines of the grant. Stretch for 60 seconds while the kettle warms. Step outside and greet the sky. Imagine doing it just once. Feel your body in that scene. The seed is planted. If you feel restless, let your breathing slow on its own. Feel the air come in like a cool thread and leave like warm cloth. Let your eyes rest heavy in their sockets. Let the muscles of your face soften, especially around your mouth and cheeks. Listen for the hum of your aim beneath the night sounds. The fan, the rain, the distant hush of the world doing what it does. The hum is there when you listen. It belongs to you. May your aim be kind and steady. May it be flexible without losing heart. May it carry you through the bright and the ordinary moments without asking you to be anyone other than who you are becoming. And when you forget, may you remember that remembering is the path, and the path is walked with small human steps. Rest now or simply lie here and feel the room. Somewhere a curtain lifts and settles. Somewhere your breath empties like a tide and then returns. The compass is quiet, faithful. It will be there in the morning, ready to point you toward the next true thing. The house is quieter now. Streetlights paint soft rectangles on the floor. Maybe a refrigerator hums in the next room. A calm low note that steadies the space. Your hands might touch the cool rim of a glass or the gentle weave of a blanket. Feel how the evening air rests on your face. Not cold, just present. Let the noise of the day fade to a safe distance, like a train passing far away. You are here and that is enough to begin. Tonight is about practice in ordinary rooms. We have spoken of arriving and of aim. Now we give those ideas a home in simple rituals that fit inside real life. Gentle discipline thrives on the ground, not in theory. It grows when you cook dinner, answer a message, help with homework, close your laptop and turn towards sleep. We will keep it practical, kind, and light, so that your mind can soften while your days become steadier. Begin with the way you start things. Starting is often the hard part because aversion stands guard at the threshold. It whispers about discomfort, about not being ready, about needing one more check of something shiny. Instead of fighting the guard, we build a small, friendly door. This is the focus nest. For 45 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, make a tiny space ready for one task. Place what you need within reach. Put one distraction out of reach. Name the task in 7 plain words or less, like write the first paragraph for Maya. Then rest your hands for one breath before you begin. You can pause anytime. The nest is complete when you feel a shade of readiness settle in your chest. The focus nest works not because it is fancy, but because your body trusts rituals. Rituals tell the nervous system what is about to happen. When the body is reassured, the mind stops looking for exits. You are building a cue that says, this is where I do one kind thing and then I stop. Over time, the space itself carries the memory of steadiness, and the starting becomes easier. If you share your home with others, you can make the nest portable. A tray with a notebook and pen. A small cloth you spread beside your keyboard. A single index card and a pencil. When you lay it out, your mind recognizes the pattern. Here is where attention rests for a while. Then you pick it up again and the table returns to family life. Gentle discipline adapts. It does not demand a different world to function. There is a second kind door for beginning, useful when words stick or energy feels thin. This is the small yes. For 20 to 40 seconds, if it feels right, ask your body for the easiest movement that belongs to the task. Type 3 unpolished words. Wash 1 plate. Fold 1 shirt. Read 2 sentences and say what they mean out loud. You can stop anytime. The practice is complete when you feel a small nod inside, like a hinge that has just been oiled. Small yes works because it meets aversion with friendliness. Instead of arguing with the feeling, you lower the bar until your whole system can step over it. Once you are moving, momentum often appears. If it doesn't, you still kept a promise that fits inside your real life. That promise is the thread you are strengthening night by night. Now, the middle of a task. Busy minds often begin, then fracture. Craving for novelty taps the shoulder. Confusion shuffles priorities. Aversion suggests getting a snack right now would be wise. We do not scold these moves, we design around them. Imagine focus not as a rigid tunnel, but as a clean window with a small sign that says, I will stay here for a bit. Try the gentle bell. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, choose a word that will call you back when you drift. Could be here, it could be this, it could be the task name like paragraph. Say the word softly as you begin. Each time you notice wandering, say the word again once and return. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the word feels warm and simple, like a friend tapping your shoulder. A word works because it is quick. You do not need a lecture to return. You need a thread you can feel without thinking. The gentle bell is that thread. Can live on a sticky note. Can float inside your breath. Can sit in your pocket. Light and reliable. Design also helps. Distraction loves frictionless access. We add a little friction with kindness. This is the phone garden. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, place your phone in a known spot outside your immediate reach when you begin a focus minute. If you want, cover it with a cloth. Tell yourself where it is so a searching mind can relax. You can stop anytime. The practice is complete when your hands feel less twitchy. You are not punishing yourself. You are protecting your attention the way you would protect a young plant from wind. A little distance is shelter, not a cage. And if you need your phone for the task, you can still garden the other distractions. One tab, one tool, one thing at a time. Transitions matter too. Much focus is lost in the space between tasks because the mind sprints and trips over its own feet. We add a small hinge that closes gently and opens smoothly. This is the inhale and place. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right at the end of a small task, take one fuller in-breath, then place your hands down on the desk, on your lap, on the counter, and feel the contact. Whisper inside, done for now. Then name the next thing in 7 words or fewer. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your shoulders drop a fraction. Let's bring these into a real evening. You have dinner dishes to clear, a message to send, and laundry to fold. The focus nest appears at the sink. Sponge, soap, rack. The small yes starts you, rinse 3 plates. The mind wants to check something. The gentle bell says, here. You finish the stack, then inhale and place. Done for now. 7 words for the next action. Send the note to Rena now. You move to the table. Phone garden. Screen down on the shelf. Gentle bell. Rena. Type the first line that matters, then the second. Inhale and place. Done for now. Laundry next. The night is not heavy. It is a string of small doors. All the while, the 3 frictions still visit. Craving arrives dressed as helpfulness. It tells you another tab will make you smarter. Aversion warns that the first minutes are unpleasant. Confusion says maybe there is a better system. You can name each one as it appears and choose one kind step anyway. It is the same practice in new clothes. You are learning to keep your footing while weather moves across your mind. This is a good moment to include a simple teaching story about how we meet difficulty. Long ago, a student came to the Buddha troubled by pain and by his own reactions to it. The Buddha spoke of 2 arrows. The first arrow is the pain you cannot avoid in a human life, the sting of disappointment, the ache of effort, the prickle of beginning something you would rather postpone. The second arrow is what we add, resentment, self-attack, the story that it should not be happening. The first arrow hurts. The second arrow doubles it. Gentle discipline learns to put down the second arrow. When you drift and then scold yourself for drifting, that is the second arrow. When you meet the drift with a small return, no drama, you set the second arrow aside. You still felt the prick of effort, but you did not wound yourself on top of it. Let's give the 2 arrows a home in your day. You sit to study, and your eyes slide off the page. First arrow. This is normal human attention meeting a task. You notice the slide and call yourself lazy. Second arrow. Instead, you notice and say, wandering is here. Gentle bell. Back to the next sentence. The body learns that returning is safe. Over time, the first arrow stings less because you stopped helping it. Some people worry that if they stop the second arrow, they will become careless. The opposite tends to happen. When shame quiets, honesty grows. You can see what is really going on and adjust without hiding. You can choose better supports. You can ask for help. You can rest without guilt and work without resentment. This is discipline that comes from care. Even with good supports, focus can fray late in the day. The mind gets hungry for easy hits of stimulation. We can redirect that hunger toward simple nourishment instead of noise. Try compose before consume as an evening habit. 1 line in a journal before you scroll. A tiny note of gratitude before you watch. A quick sketch before you read. This is not a rule. It is a way of telling your system that your voice matters before the world's voice pours in. The effect is small and steady, like turning a boat 1 degree and ending up at a different shore. There is a bodily way to steady focus that many forget. Hands and eyes are part of attention. When your hands fidget and your eyes dart, your mind tends to follow. We practice with the body so the mind can rest. This is steady hands. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, place your palms flat on your thighs or the table. Let the fingers soften and lengthen. Feel the precise temperature of the surface. Let your gaze settle on a single point for 3 easy breaths. Not rigid, just steady. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the muscles around your eyes loosen by a degree. A few seconds of steady hands can turn a jittery minute into a workable one. It is humble and physical. Tells the animal part of you, we are safe here, we can do one thing. That message helps more than a paragraph of pep talk. Another practice for when beginning feels prickly is surf the start. For 20 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, watch the first wave of discomfort that rises when you face the task. Feel it in the body, a little heat in the face, a flutter in the belly, a pressure at the temples. Name it softly as sensation, not as a problem. Breathe out a hair longer, then begin the first tiny step. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when you sense the wave crest and fade a little. Surfing the start transforms aversion from an enemy into a wave you know how to ride. Once you have surfed it a few times, the fear of the wave lessens. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You go out, you ride a small one, you come back. The beach is still there. The task is still there. But you are less afraid. For those who parent or care for others, gentle discipline can be extended into shared rituals. A family-focused nest can be a kitchen table cleared for 7 minutes. A gentle bell can be a word everyone agrees on, like together. When someone drifts, someone else can whisper together and everyone returns to the shared task for a short span, then celebrates the small closure. Children learn by tone more than by rule. When your tone is kind and steady, their bodies learn safety around focus. In work settings, you can use these practices without announcing them. Before a meeting, steady hands under the table for 3 breaths. During a meander, the gentle bell in your mind, here, and then a calm summary offered aloud. After, inhale and place, done for now, and 7 words for the next step. You become a quiet anchor without needing to control anyone. People feel steadier around you because you are steady inside. Bring the 2 arrows into teams as well. When a mistake is made, first arrow. When blame spreads and shame hardens, second arrow. You can prevent the second arrow by naming the first clearly and kindly, and by moving together toward repair. This is also discipline. It is discipline in the direction of care, which is where all good work lives. If late-night scrolling is your tender spot, add a tiny ritual that tips the scale toward rest. Place your charger outside the bedroom if that is possible in your life, or charge the phone across the room. If it stays near you, use phone garden with a small cloth over it after a certain hour. Pair it with a soft replacement. A dim lamp and a book, a simple stretch on the floor, 3 minutes listening to the night sounds. Not as punishment, as a gift to tomorrow you. We end tonight by tying practice to identity very lightly. Not a heavy title. Posture. I return kindly. Let the words settle like a warm scarf around your shoulders. When you forget for a while, you have not broken anything. You step back onto the path at the nearest door. Focus nest. Small yes. Gentle bell. Phone garden. Inhale and place. Steady hands. Surf the start. Compose before consume. Choose one. Use it for a minute. Then rest. Check your body again now. Notice the places that have softened since we started. The base of the skull. The space behind the heart. The palms. The soles of your feet. If any place still feels armored, you do not have to force it open. You can let it be. You can place a hand nearby and simply sit in good company with yourself for a breath or two. That kindness is also practice. Imagine tomorrow shaped by tiny doors. You cross thresholds with less rushing. You begin with a nest. You return with a bell. You end with a gentle placing of hands. You protect your young attention the way sunlight and water protect a small garden. Nothing dramatic. Just honest care repeated. The mind learns. The day feels different. The tune remains the middle tone, alive and responsive, neither tight nor slack. If sleep is near, you can drift toward it now. If wakefulness lingers, you can lie quietly and feel the friendly weight of your body held by the bed. Notice breath as a tide you do not have to command. Let the jaw rest heavy. Let the eyes rest back. Let the tongue rest low. There is nowhere else you need to be. The tools are simple and close. The kindness is already here. May your ordinary rooms become places of practice. May your beginnings be soft and clear. May your middles be steady and forgiving. May your endings have a little bow in them, a thank you to the body that carried you. And if you forget, May remembering find you quickly, like a hand reaching for yours in a familiar hallway. Night has a different sound when you listen. Maybe it is a light chorus of insects through a partly open window, a single motorbike fading down the street, or the soft tick of a clock keeping company with your breath. The mug near you has cooled. The rim is room temperature and smooth under your fingertips. Shadows rest quietly in the corners. Let your breathing lengthen the way tides lengthen across a wide bay, unforced, patient, returning. Give your shoulders permission to drop by a quiet notch. Let your face settle as if it remembered how to rest. Tonight, I want to share a simple story that moves like water through a crowded mind. You may have heard versions of it before. Stories like this are meant to be held lightly, turned in the hand like a smooth stone, not to be dissected. This one is about carrying, and about the moment we put down what is no longer ours to hold. Long ago, on a rainy afternoon, two travelers walked a country road. Their robes were wet with splash from passing carts. Mud clung to their sandals. They came to a crossing where the road dipped into a wide puddle, more like a shallow stream. At the edge, a young woman stood, looking at the water with worry. She wore good shoes and an expression that said the day had already asked too much. Without a word, the older traveler stepped forward, lifted her easily, and carried her through the water, setting her on dry ground with a nod. She bowed in thanks, smoothed her skirt, and went on. The two travelers continued too, their feet making soft sounds in wet dust. After a long stretch of quiet, the younger traveler spoke, troubled. "Our path asks us to live with care," he said. "You touched that woman and carried her. Hours have passed and I can't stop thinking about it." The older traveler turned with a gentle half-smile. "Friend," he said, "in essence, I put her down back there. Why are you still carrying her?" The story doesn't scold. It simply opens a window. You can feel the air on your face when you hear it. The older traveler lifted, helped, finished, and let go. The younger one carried what was already done for miles in his mind. Both of them walked, one with a lighter heart. We do this too almost every day. We carry the meeting we've already left. We carry the comment we wish we'd said differently. We carry someone else's mood like a heavy scarf we didn't choose. We carry a moment of clumsiness or a task we completed imperfectly and let it cloud the next hour. The body is done, but the mind still hoists the weight. The story reminds us that gentle discipline includes the art of setting down. Not as dismissal, not as indifference, as clarity and care. Notice how the tale is simple. It doesn't ask you to be perfect or to never think about the past. It invites a question. What are you still carrying that you could place gently on the ground? The older traveler didn't make a speech about boundaries. He simply completed the kind action and closed the door behind it. That closing is part of the kindness. Without it, everything bleeds into everything else and focus dissolves into a gray blur. If you like, let's make this story a felt experience. Set down, practice. For 20 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, bring to mind something you finished today. A message sent, a conversation had, a chore done, even a moment you handled as well as you could. Feel it in your chest for a breath. Whisper inside, that is complete for now. If your hands want to move, you can pantomime setting a small bundle onto the floor beside you. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your ribs loosen by a fraction or your jaw unclenches a bit. Simple gestures teach the body truths that ideas alone can't reach. When you enact setting something down, the nervous system understands in a wordless way. The next minute becomes a little cleaner. The lantern of attention sits steadier on its table. There's another layer here. The younger traveler's mind was busy with rules and self-image. Was it right? Was it wrong? Am I doing this path correctly? That's confusion in the shape of self-protection. It tries to keep us safe by thinking in circles. Craving also plays a role. It craves certainty, craves being in the right. Aversion pricks too. It recoils from the discomfort of what is already done. Gentle discipline doesn't fuel any of them. It returns to what is true. The act is over. Now we choose the next kind step. Think about the way you end tasks. Many of us never truly end them. We leave doors ajar. The email is sent, but the conversation continues in our head. The call is finished, but we replay lines and invent answers we wish we'd given. The dish is washed, but we are already arguing with tomorrow's mess. When hundreds of little doors stay ajar, the hallway of the mind becomes drafty. No wonder the lantern flickers. The story's medicine is closure. Not dramatic, not final. Just the kind of closure that breathes. Put the woman down, says the older traveler, meaning bless what happened, learn if there's something to learn, and then take your hands off it so your hands are free for what's here. Here is a small way to practice closure at the edge of your day. The shelf breath. For 30 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, imagine a shelf at shoulder height in front of you. On your next longer exhale, picture placing today's small completed acts onto the shelf one by one. Sent the note, took a walk, answered the hard message, showed up despite low energy. If a thought tries to pull one back down, say gently, it belongs on the shelf for now. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when your shoulders feel a little less like they're carrying a backpack. You can turn that shelf into a real object if you want. A small tray or a notebook at the edge of your desk where you jot placed items. This is not a productivity hack. It is nervous system care. The mind trusts you more when you give it a clear end. Let's visit a few everyday scenes and see how the story applies without fanfare. You spoke in a meeting and your words weren't as clear as you hoped. The mind wants to carry it, turning the phrases like a pebble. You pause. Set down practice. The older traveler's smile flickers at the edge of your memory. You say inside, that is complete for now. If repair is needed, you'll do it tomorrow with a calm body. Tonight you place the pebble on the shelf. You're parenting through a messy bedtime. Voices got sharp. The child finally sleeps. Guilt rises, a heavy liquid in the chest. You breathe and acknowledge. First arrow, the difficulty of a human evening. Then you refuse the second arrow of self-attack. You hold your own heart for a breath. You imagine setting down the weight and picking up one small action that honors what you value next time. A note on the nightstand that says, start softer. You slide the note under the lamp. Shelf breath. The room feels more breathable. You are studying and hit a stubborn paragraph that makes your eyes glaze. You step away and notice the mind wanting to carry the failure. You practice a different carry. You carry the next true thing instead. A glass of water. A walk to the mailbox. Return. Another 2 sentences. Here, the parable teaches you not only to set down what is done, but also to set down the story about what isn't. The story also points to a tender boundary many of us cross without noticing. We carry what belongs to others because we care. We take on their moods, their choices, their timelines, and then we wonder why our own focus feels tangled. The older traveler helped fully and then released fully. That is a boundary made of love. It leaves you able to help again later because you didn't exhaust yourself carrying what cannot be carried by anyone but the person it belongs to. Here is a micro-practice for loving boundaries that keep focus clear. Hands to heart, hands to earth. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, place one hand on your chest and think, I care. Then turn the palm down toward the floor or rest it on your thigh and think, and I place what is not mine back on the earth. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your breath drops lower or you feel a small spaciousness where tightness sat. This is not abandonment. It is trust. You are trusting that care does not require constant carrying. You are trusting that your next kind step will actually be kinder if your hands are free. Sometimes the thing we carry is our own image of how we should be. The younger traveler wanted to be the perfect student, flawless in form. The older traveler lived the spirit of care and moved on. Form matters. Spirit matters more. Gentle discipline listens for spirit. What is the kind action now, done with clarity, then set down? It helps to notice that rumination often pretends to be responsibility. It says, if you think about this for 2 more hours, you'll fix it. But the 2 hours rarely help. They thin tomorrow's focus and fray tonight's rest. There is a specific moment rumination weakens, when we give the mind a physical cue that the act is over. A small bow to the desk, a palm press to the doorframe as you leave a room, a whispered done for now. These cues are the common language the animal body understands. We can also design our spaces to support setting down. A basket by the door where work papers go when the day ends. A charger across the room, so your hand cannot unconsciously carry the phone into bed. A closed notebook placed on the same spot each evening. These are not rigid rules. They are kind signals. The river moves on. We step onto the bank for the night. There is another, quieter carry in busy minds. We carry resentment, often small, like a grain of sand in a shoe. The enduring irritation of someone else's habit. The old memory of being overlooked. The tiny slight that catches each time you pass it. The older traveler shows us a clean generosity. Pick the person up, set them down, keep walking. You don't have to scold yourself for feeling irritated. You can notice it, meet it with an exhale, and not take it as cargo for the next mile. Try this, especially if you feel a burr under the skin tonight. Place the stone. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, picture the resentment as a small stone in your pocket. Take it out in your mind. See its size, its shape. Without arguing about whether you are right to hold it, imagine placing it on the ground beside the path. You can pick it up tomorrow if you truly need it. For now, walk on lighter. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when your breath lengthens by even a thread. Notice how all these practices live in the body. The older traveler's wisdom isn't a clever trick. It is a bodily choice to stop gripping. You can feel gripping in your jaw, your fists, your belly. You can feel setting down in the way your shoulders settle, your hands soften, your lower ribs move. There is a paradox worth naming. When you practice setting down, you become more responsive, not less. People worry that if they release the mental carry, they'll become careless or forgetful. In practice, the opposite emerges. When you set down, your attention is fresh when it's time to pick up again. You respond to real needs instead of to loops in your head. Focus sharpens because it is no longer dragging yesterday behind it. The 3 familiar frictions show up here in predictable ways. Craving craves righteousness or completion so badly that it keeps grasping what's already complete. Aversion recoils from the discomfort of imperfection and keeps replaying what should have been different. Confusion fogs you with the idea that if you think a little longer you'll find the magic sentence that makes the past change shape. Naming them helps. Craving is here. Aversion is here. Confusion is here. And then the older traveler's line inside you. I put that down back there. The present is easier to meet when our hands are empty. Let's connect the parable to sleep, because night is where carrying often amplifies. You lie down and your mind stands up to pace. It visits 5 hours ago, 5 years ago, and 5 possible futures. Instead of fighting, offer it a job, shelf keeper. Invite your attention to place one item at a time on the high shelf, to notice the body on the mattress, to feel gravity as proof of safety. If the pacing mind wants a thought, give it this one. Tomorrow me will be better at this. With that thought, you practice trust by letting the day end. If you wake in the night, you can use a simple reset. 3 stone breath. For 3 easy exhalations, if it feels right, place 3 imaginary stones at the edge of the bed. With the first, place today's conversations. With the second, place tomorrow's plans. With the third, place self-evaluation. You can pick any of them up in the morning. Now feel the mattress hold you. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when the edges of the room soften. Sometimes, of course, what we carry must be carried a little while. Grief, responsibility, a true problem to solve. Setting down doesn't mean denial. It means we don't carry extra. We don't add the second arrow. We don't keep clutching the bundle after we've reached the place where it can rest. We learn to put it down between efforts so our arms are strong when they are needed again. There is one more softness held inside the story. Joy is easier to notice when our hands are free. When you set down the mental versions of the day, small bright things return to view. The sound of night rain on leaves. The warm rectangle of light on a wall. The way breath knows how to be quiet when you listen. These are not prizes. They are reminders that your life is more than your thoughts about your life. Before we close, try this very small ritual of gratitude that pairs beautifully with setting down. Bow to the ordinary. For 15 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, look at the nearest humble object, the glass, the pen, the folded towel. Let your eyes rest on it softly. Whisper inside, "Thank you for your service today." Then allow your attention to return to your breath, heavy and kind. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when you feel a thread of warmth in your chest. A bow to the ordinary ends the moment with a gentle nod. It teaches your system that the day does not only end when all is perfect. It ends when you acknowledge what was given and allow rest. Let your breathing be simple now. Let it ebb and flow without supervision. Feel the jaw unhook slightly from the day. Feel your hands grow heavier by a shade as if they, too, have put something down. You do not have to carry everything across every threshold. You can carry one thing to where it belongs and then stop. This is not laziness. It is wisdom of the kind the body understands. If sleep is near, drift toward it like a boat untied from its peg, eased by the soft pull of water. If wakefulness remains, lie close to your own weight and listen to the night as a friend. Somewhere inside, an old traveler is smiling. You put one thing down, then another. You did what was kind, and then you let it rest. That is a strong way to live. May you learn the clean art of setting down. May you feel the difference in your neck, your shoulders, your thoughts. May your focus become lighter because it is no longer dragging what is finished. And when you forget and pick up the bundle again, may the memory of a rain-wet road and a quiet smile remind you that the ground is always nearby, and you can place it there. Tonight the room is lit by a small flame. Maybe a candle near you makes its own quiet, the way a flame holds still and yet is never truly still. There might be a faint scent in the air, wax, paper, a hint of tea leaves in an empty cup. The blanket over your legs is just heavy enough to signal safety. Far away, a car rolls by like a slow tide, and then the street is empty again. Let your breath match the candle, steady and low. Feel the weight of your body taken up by the furniture, by the floor, by the earth itself. You don't have to try hard. You can be breathed. This part is about a second pillar that steadies everything. Compassion as discipline. Not compassion as a soft drizzle of sentiment. Not compassion as permission to drift forever, but compassion as reliable structure. A structure that says, you are human and worthy, therefore your practice will be designed for a human body and a human nervous system. When you meet yourself this way, effort becomes cleaner. The mind stops wasting energy on self-attack and uses that energy to return. Gentle discipline is kindness with a backbone. It is the tone of a wise friend who knows your history and believes in your capacity. The friend won't let you disappear into screen glow for hours and then bury you in shame. The friend will place a warm hand on your shoulder and say, Come back with me. 2 minutes. 1 sentence. We will begin with what's possible. That tone is what we are learning to speak to ourselves. That tone is an instrument you can tune and play. Consider how often the day fills with a brittle pressure to be flawless. Perfection is craving dressed up as virtue. It says, when I am finally perfect, focus will be easy. But perfection is not a destination. It is an exit ramp to nowhere. Compassion offers a different road. It says, I will keep my promises in a way that keeps me whole. I will repair when I miss without theatrics. I will be honest and warm with myself so I can show up again tomorrow. Let's feel compassion as something physical, not just an idea. Warm palm pause. For 15 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, place a hand over your chest or belly and notice the pressure and heat. Without changing your breath, let the hand remind your body that a friendly presence is here. Whisper inside, I can be kind and keep going. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the breath softens by a thread or your shoulders drop a fraction. This is not indulgence. It is maintenance. The nervous system responds to touch and tone more quickly than to logic. When you offer warmth, the alarm system lowers its volume. The first minutes of effort feel less prickly. That's the opening we use. Compassion also clarifies boundaries. People sometimes worry that kindness will erase edges. It doesn't. It paints them in softer colors so you can see them clearly. Without edges, everything bleeds into everything else. With edges, you can say, this is the 15 minutes I give to writing, and then I will stop and rest. Or, this is where I end the day even if a corner is imperfect. Or, this moment belongs to my child. Or, this hour belongs to my body to stretch and to feed. The boundary is not a wall. It is a frame. Compassion holds the frame so your art can happen inside it. Here is a tiny practice that builds that frame without strain. Kind reset. For 10 to 40 seconds, if it feels right, when you notice drifting or tightening, close your eyes for a blink-length pause and think, reset kindly. On the next exhale, feel the weight of your body. Name the very next inch in 7 words or less. Send 2-line reply to Anna, or read 1 paragraph slowly. Begin only that inch. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when you feel a small yes in the chest. Kind reset teaches your system that starting again doesn't require a whip. It is a door that swings on well-oiled hinges. Every time you use that door instead of the door marked shame, the path of return gets smoother. Compassion sharpens focus because it removes the second arrow we spoke about earlier. You don't spend time recovering from your own blows. You make one simple repair and continue.
Riperisco kreft.
Think of a ceramic bowl you love that picked up a hairline crack. You don't smash the bowl because of the crack. You mend it, sometimes in a way that makes the repair part of the beauty. Discipline, the compassionate kind, is full of small mends. Try this as a practical ritual for mending when a plan slips. Tiny repair. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, admit the slip without a courtroom. I drifted for 20 minutes. Then choose a repair appropriate to your energy and the hour. 2 sentences written, 2 dishes washed, 2 minutes of quiet sitting. Do it. When it's done, say inside, repair complete. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your jaw loosens or your breath lengthens by a shade. If you listen, you'll hear how the body likes the word complete. It gives a clear edge. That edge keeps the mind from gnawing the same spot until it's raw. Completion is an act of care. Compassion has another gift. It dilates your sense of belonging. It reminds you that you are not the only one who struggles to focus, who gets tangled in craving, who resists the first minutes, who fogs up in confusion. This sense of common humanity melts isolation, and isolation is fuel for frantic behavior. When you know you're not alone, you stop performing and begin practicing. There is a story that carries this medicine gently. It speaks to the part of us that thinks we are uniquely failing or uniquely burdened. In one telling, a grieving mother named Kisa Gadami searched the town with her lifeless child in her arms, desperate for a cure. She asked for a medicine from the Buddha. He told her to bring back a mustard seed from a household that had never known loss, and he would make a remedy. She went door to door. At each home, someone said, "We will give you the seed, but our house has known loss, here, here, and here." She returned with empty hands and a new understanding. No house stands untouched. That night, she set the small body down and wept with the village women, and her grief began to flow. We can hold the story without superstition, without heavy doctrine. We hold it for its human truth. We are in this together. The night you feel like the only one failing to meet your aims, remember the doors she knocked on. Each door opened on a life as complicated as yours. Each hand knew the weight of being alive. Compassion is not pity. It is recognition. The recognition is clarifying. When you don't have to prove that your difficulty is special, you can do the next kind step. Let this story change the tone in small ways. When your focus phrase, instead of declaring yourself uniquely hopeless, you say, "Oh, a human moment." Name the now. Kind reset. Tiny repair. The practice is ordinary, and that ordinariness is a relief. Compassion takes you out of the center of a drama and places you in the circle of humans practicing. Compassion also trains how you speak inside. Words carve grooves. You can feel the difference between these two sentences. "I blew it again" versus "I wandered and I'm returning." The first tightens the throat. The second leaves breath in the room. Over time, the second builds stamina. The first builds resistance and secret rebellion. Our aim is steady presence, not grudging compliance. Try practicing the voice that helps for just a few breaths. Inner mentor line. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, imagine a wiser, kinder version of you. Same face, softer eyes. Let that voice say one short sentence you can believe tonight, like, "Let's do the next inch," or "We can be gentle and steady," or "Start soft, continue softer." If none come, you can borrow one. "I return kindly." You can stop any time. The practice ends when the sentence feels like a friendly hand on your back. You may notice a part of you that mistrusts this. It says, "If I stop being hard on myself, I'll never get anything done." We can respect that part. It kept you moving for a long time. But its methods are expensive. The crashes after the sprints. The weeks lost to avoidance because the inner climate was too harsh to re-enter. Compassion is not the opposite of discipline. It is the fuel that lets discipline be sustainable. When the climate is kind, you're willing to show up more often because showing up no longer means stepping into a storm. Compassion also shapes how you plan. Plans built in self-contempt are brittle. Plans built in careflex without snapping. That flexibility keeps you in practice through sickness, travel, kids' needs, and the weather of emotion. Compassionate planning sounds like, "Today I will write for 20 minutes after lunch, and if the body says no, I'll take a 5-minute walk and come back for 10. It sounds like, "I will answer 3 important messages and let the others wait without guilt." It sounds like, "I will read 2 pages slowly and say what I learned out loud." Small, doable, friendly. Then you keep the promise. The keeping builds trust. Trust builds focus. Here is a planning ritual anchored in care. Promise that fits. For 45 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, look honestly at your next waking hour. Name one promise that fits the hour's true shape. Speak it softly. "In the next hour, I will do X for Y minutes." Let X be humane. Let Y be believable. Write it on a scrap of paper. Place it where your eyes rest. You can pause anytime. The practice is complete when your shoulders drop or your chest feels a little roomier. Notice how compassion and clarity hold hands in that ritual. Compassion sizes the promise to reality. Clarity makes the promise visible. Together they make a line you can actually walk. Compassion also teaches how to stop. Stopping is part of discipline, not its failure. When you end while you still have a little goodwill left, you are more likely to return tomorrow. When you grind until goodwill is ashes, the return is harder. Ending well is a kindness to tomorrow you. Try a gentle close designed to preserve goodwill. Leave one thread. For 20 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, stop while you still have a small appetite for more. Jot the next literal action on a sticky note. Type the first line of conclusion, or wash the last dish, or open chapter 4. Place the note where you will see it. Say, enough for now. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your body feels a touch grateful to be stopping. You may feel resistance to stopping while still warm. Trust the long arc. You are not trying to win a single night. You are weaving a rope across weeks and months. That rope is made of many small fibers. Clear aims, simple starts, returns without drama, and compassionate endings. When you stop with care, the rope thickens. Compassion expands outward too. It changes how you meet other people's busy minds. When a partner snaps or a colleague drifts, you can feel the urge to punish, and you can also remember Kisa Gotami's doors. No house stands untouched. This doesn't mean you allow harm or abandon your boundaries. It means you hold the line with less heat. You say, let's take a breath and start the next inch together. You name the next thing in 7 simple words. You model repair without shame. Rooms become safer around you. Safety breeds focus. If you are a caregiver or a parent, compassion keeps you from using up your reserves on internal fights. The child refuses a task. First arrow, difficulty. Second arrow would be the story that you are a failure or that the child is doomed. Compassion puts down the second arrow and asks, what is the next kind inch we can do? Maybe it's socks on together. Maybe it's 1 minute of cleanup with a song. Maybe it's breathe, drink water, try again. Your tone is the container. Children learn in containers. So do we. When compassion meets craving, something interesting happens. Craving says, feed me now or I will scream. Compassion says, I see you. Here is one sweet thing that doesn't blow a hole in the hour. Then we return. It might be a 2-minute stretch, or a small square of chocolate eaten slowly, or a glance out the window to rest your eyes. The promise remains intact. The pressure lowers. You don't have to run from yourself to feel relief. When compassion meets aversion, it says, of course the first minute feels prickly. Let's surf the start and then decide. It gives you permission to evaluate after you begin, not before. That order makes all the difference. The first wave passes. Most of the time you find you can continue. If you can't, compassion doesn't slam you. It helps you choose a better fitting moment. When compassion meets confusion, it doesn't flood you with options. It narrows the world for you. Pick the one true thing that matches your value, do it for a small span, then reassess. Confusion loves a large horizon. Compassion loves a small table with 1 cup and 1 plate. There is a bodily practice that gathers all of this into a single gesture. Soften and steer. For 20 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, soften one place in your body, jaw, belly, brow by 5%. Then steer attention to a single action by naming it once. Copy the first line, or stand and stretch, or brush teeth with eyes soft. Begin. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your attention feels both kinder and more directed. We are returning, again and again, to the same sweet paradox. Warmth makes you more reliable. The more you trust your own tone, the easier it is to start, to stay, to end, and to begin again. Compassion is not a luxury blanket you keep for special nights. It is a work glove you wear every day, well-fitted, soft, strong. As the candle burns a little lower, check in with your body. Is there a pocket of tightness that wants acknowledgement? You don't have to pry it open. You can sit beside it like you would sit beside a friend. The simple act of sitting beside is compassion. Often, that is all the knot needed to begin untying itself. If sleep is close, let it come. If wakefulness lingers, let your eyes rest heavy in their sockets and listen to the tiny sounds in the room. The flame's soft whisper, the house settling, your breath moving in and out without any effort from you. Imagine the town of Kisagadami, doors opening at night, the soft lamplight spilling onto thresholds. Each household a world, each world touched by loss and by love. You belong to that village of humans. You do not practice alone. Before we close, place a small promise on the table of tomorrow, one that is shaped like compassion. It could be 5 minutes of movement before screens, or one sincere message, or reading 2 pages aloud, or standing under a patch of morning sky for 3 breaths. Promise that fits. Leave one thread. These are not tricks. They are gestures of care. They make the day more hospitable to focus. They make your inner climate gentle enough for discipline to take root and stay. May your discipline be kind without losing form. May your promises fit the day and still call you forward. May your repairs be small and swift. May the voice inside grow warmer and wiser until it sounds like a friend you trust. And may that trust make your attention steady the way a candle's flame stays quiet in a room with the windows closed and the night listening at the edges. The night has thinned to a gentle hush. Perhaps a small strip of amber light spills from a hallway night lamp beneath the door. The window might be cracked open just enough to cool your cheek. The fabric under your head holds the shape of your day and slowly gives it back. Notice the way the mattress receives your weight without argument. Let your breath spread out across your ribs, then wander back in like a quiet tide. Nothing urgent is required of you in this minute. You can let the room be simple. We've been practicing arrival and setting a kind aim. We've learned how to put things down and how to begin without scolding. Tonight is about rhythm, how to move through time with a steady, humane cadence that protects your attention without exhausting your heart. Rhythm is where gentle discipline turns into muscle memory. If aim is the direction, rhythm is the step you take again and again until a path appears under your feet. One reason busy minds suffer is that time becomes a blur. You start something, get pulled, return, push, stall, scroll, sprint, and end the day unsure what actually happened. Rhythm brings shape. Think of a trellis in a garden. The plant still grows freely, but it has something kind to lean on. In practice, rhythm means alternating small spans of directed attention with brief, true rests. Not punishment, not indulgence, just the way bodies work best. Let's feel the rhythm in the simplest way first. In your next exhale, let the breath pour out a hair longer than the inhale, then let the inhale return on its own. That gentle lengthening is the rest between heartbeats. Focus, release. Focus, release. This is not just poetry. It's physiology. Your system steadies when you respect its cycles. We'll give that cycle a home you can use anywhere, from a quiet desk to a crowded kitchen. Kind interval. For 2 to 15 minutes, if it feels right, choose one clear task no wider than your palm. Read a page, draft 5 sentences, wash the pots, sort the receipts. Begin with one settling breath. Work with presence until a timer or a felt minute ends. Then take a short, real pause. Stand, look at the far wall, sip water, feel your feet. No screens in the pause unless the task requires it. Repeat once or twice if there is goodwill. You can stop at any time. The practice is complete when you feel you've made a small, honest dent without draining your mood. This is not a famous branded method. It is a humane interval. The lengths are flexible. The spirit is consistent. A small arc of attention, followed by a little air. It's the opposite of bracing. It's the middle way in time. Rhythm is also how we befriend the first minutes, the prickliest part of any task. Aversion spikes at the threshold. Gentle discipline lowers that threshold, then invites the body across. Single task arc. For 60 to 180 seconds, if it feels right, pick the first inch of what matters and do only that inch with all your senses. If you are writing, write one slow sentence while hearing the near room. If you are cleaning, wash one pot as if it were the whole task. If you are studying, read 2 paragraphs and say what they mean in simple words. End the arc on purpose. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when you feel a small, satisfying click, even if the larger task remains. Arcs are short on purpose. The mind can trust short spans. When the arc ends cleanly, your system learns closure, and closure is fuel. Most of us burn energy by leaving everything open. Arcs close the loop gently and give the mind a reward it can believe. Craving, aversion, and confusion all have favorite moments to intervene. Craving loves to visit in the pause and try to stretch it into a long escape. Aversion crashes the opening seconds of the next arc. Confusion spreads out options as soon as you finish one thing, so you never start the next. Rhythm answers each with tone and design. When craving arrives in the pause, you can treat the pause like the breath between lines, not the end of the song. Pause is a doorway, not a couch. Offer yourself something nourishing that doesn't erase your promise. Nourish the pause. For 20 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, step away from the task and do one sensory act that returns you to your animal body. Feel cool water over your hands, look at something green, stretch your sides, gaze at a distant point to relax your eyes. Let the mind rest on sensation. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when your shoulders drop and the pause feels like air, not a trapdoor. When aversion tenses at the next beginning, we meet it with a tiny plan that fits in a single breath. Start sentence. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, quietly speak the next action in 7 plain words, then start before the mind negotiates. Open document, write first line now, or walk to sink, wash the cup now, or open chapter, read 2 paragraphs now. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when the first step is underway and the prickly edge has softened. When confusion smears everything into gray, rhythm narrows the world on purpose without making you rigid. Now, next, later. For 30 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, on a scrap of paper draw 3 small boxes and write 1 item in each. What I do now, what I do next, what I do later. Keep now as small as possible. If it feels right, put later behind something, under a book, in a drawer, so it stops pinging your attention. Begin now. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when now is moving. Notice how these rhythms are forgiving. If your day explodes, the rhythms shrink and travel with you. 2 minutes, breathe. 30 seconds, begin. If the day opens, the rhythms lengthen. 10 minutes, breathe. 2 minutes, begin. You are not failing when you scale, you are listening. The trellis flexes so the plant can keep growing. Let's walk through a few rooms so your body can imagine using this. At a kitchen table, a child hums over homework and fidgets. You sit beside them with your own small task, maybe bills. Together you set a kind interval, 4 minutes. You both begin with a settling breath. The child's pencil hops. Your eyes wander. You tap the table once, start sentence, and read aloud the next box to fill. The timer chimes. Nourish the pause, stand, window gaze, water. Another short interval. The room shifts from tug-of-war to rhythm. You are not squeezing your life into shape. You're letting it find a beat you can both follow. At work, the afternoon sags. Messages peck at the edges of your attention. You write now, next, later. Now is outline 3 bullets for the client note. Next is skim yesterday's minutes. Later is all the rest. You set a 4-minute kind interval to draft the bullets. The pause is nourish the pause. Hands under cool water in the restroom, eyes on a far exit sign. You return and use single task arc to write the opening sentence. The sag doesn't vanish, but the floor under your attention becomes sturdier. Studying alone, you feel the old gravity of scrolling. You make the pause sacred by preloading a pause ritual water, stretch, window for this session. Every time the timer rings, the body knows it will be fed. Craving calms when it trusts that care isn't being withheld. A rhythm that helps late in the day is a softer circle between focus and soothing. Many busy minds treat soothing as a bribe for later. If you perform, you can rest. That bargain fails because the body doesn't trust future promises. When you weave soothing into the rhythm itself, the system stops rebelling and starts cooperating. Ease loop. For 5 to 10 minutes, if it feels right, alternate 1 minute of gentle focus with 30 seconds of explicit ease. The minute of focus is simple and contained. Copy a paragraph by hand, tidy a small patch, review 3 flashcards, fold 2 shirts. The ease is non-screen and physical: neck roll, shoulder squeeze, slow walk to touch the nearest door frame, 3 long exhales with eyes soft. Repeat 2 or 3 times. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the body feels included in the plan. The ease loop trains a new association. Effort is not a threat. Your nervous system learns that attention comes paired with comfort, not with deprivation. Over weeks, that changes the climate inside you. Anxiety stops stamping its foot at the threshold of any task. It knows it will be heard and eased. Rhythm also helps with emotional weather. Some days are foggy. Some are clear and ringing. On fog days, the interval is shorter and the aim is humbler. On clear days, you ride the clarity but still honor the rest. Over and over, the 3 frictions will try to persuade you to abandon rhythm. Craving will lure you toward thrill. Aversion will push against the first minute. Confusion will tell you to redesign your whole system. Rhythm says no need. We keep the beat. We return to the next arc. We breathe and step. There's a quiet way to prepare rhythm at the edge of morning so the day recognizes it when you arrive. Lay the track. For 45 to 90 seconds before sleep or upon waking, if it feels right, write tomorrow's first 2 kind intervals on an index card with times you can believe. 9:15 to 9:25 draft outline. 9:25 to 9:27 stand, water, window. 9:27 to 9:35 reply to Sam. 9:35 to 9:37 stretch, breathe. Place the card where morning you will meet it kindly. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when you feel a small relief that the first steps are already chosen. You are not chaining yourself to a plan. You are leaving a breadcrumb trail through the forest so the day doesn't get lost in the first hour. Even if life shifts the plan, the body remembers the feel of an interval and the kindness of a pause. You can re-enter anywhere. If you are someone who tends to overextend, pouring long hours into work or care, rhythm protects your capacity. It stops the quiet theft of tomorrow's focus. If you are someone who tends to avoid, rhythm gently insists on small beginnings that end before panic arrives. In both cases, rhythm builds a trust that is more valuable than any single burst of productivity. The trust that you will return, you will begin in a way you can sustain, and you will stop while you still have warmth. Here is a practice to keep the edges of intervals honest so they don't bleed together. Seal the edge. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right at the end of a focus span, place both feet flat, lift your eyes to a stable point and say inside, edge sealed. Then do 1 brief pause act. Reach for the glass, touch the wall, stretch your wrists. If you must continue, begin a new interval on purpose with 1 settling breath. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the old span feels complete and the next one is a true beginning. Edges are where gentle discipline becomes visible. People often wonder why their hours dissolve. It's because beginnings and endings are fuzzy. Sealing the edge brightens the line. The mind can rest inside a bright line. We can also address urges directly without making them enemies. When you feel the strong tug to check, to snack, to escape, offer yourself a bridge. A clear, small pathway from the urge back to the task. Urge bridge. For 15 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, name the urge in 3 words. Urge to check, urge to snack, urge to flee. Then promise a time-bound treat after one tiny arc. After I write this one sentence, I'll stand at the window for 30 seconds. Keep the promise either way. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your system believes you mean what you say. When the body sees that you are not a tyrant and not a pushover, it relaxes into cooperation. Your promises become real currency. This is what separates rhythm from rule. Rules crack when life pushes. Rhythm bends and keeps the music going. Identity starts to loosen in a helpful way when rhythm becomes your way of moving. You are less the person who must be perfect or the person who always fails. You are someone who keeps a beat. That identity is light and honest. It holds less shame and more practice. Let's visit a quieter room. You lie in bed with a book and feel your eyes skitter. Kind interval can live here too, as a sleep-friendly rhythm. Read for 2 minutes with soft eyes, then rest them for 30 seconds on a blank wall or the ceiling. Repeat once or twice. If sleep arrives, let it. If it doesn't, you've still kept a gentle beat with your own attention. The night doesn't need to be conquered. It can simply be met in small arcs. Rhythm becomes a shared kindness in relationships. You can bring it into conversations by offering presence in intervals. Put the phone face down. Set a quiet inner bell. 5 minutes of full listening. Then a breath. Then your turn to speak. The quality of connection rises when attention holds a shape. People feel seen. You feel clear. Rhythm even helps with the mundane but sticky things. Inboxes, dishes, paperwork. Instead of deciding to finish the inbox, you run 2 kind intervals. Reply to 2 meaningful messages. Pause. Process 3 low-energy items. Pause. The hallway in your mind warms. The dread loses its teeth because you're not promising what you can't keep. You're keeping what you promise and stopping cleanly. Across all of this, keep watching for the 3 frictions and keep naming them without drama. When craving stirs, nourish the pause. When aversion prickles, start sentence or single task arc. When confusion spreads fog, now, next, later. These are not emergency maneuvers. They are everyday tools worn smooth by use. As rhythm settles, you might feel grief for lost time, for years spent sprinting or numbing. Let that grief visit without making it another project. It is a human feeling rising in a body that finally has room. Offer it a seat in the pause. Breathe with it once or twice. Then begin the next small arc. In this way, even sorrow is held by a rhythm that doesn't shatter you. One more practice to bring rhythm into motion, for days full of errands and doorways. Threshold step. For 10 to 30 seconds at any doorway, if it feels right, let the foot that crosses first whisper here, and the following foot whisper now. Inside the new room, name 1 tiny action aloud. Keys on hook, water first, email later. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the new room has a purpose and your body has caught up to itself. Doorways are where attention gets lost. Threshold step collects it gently. You end up less scattered because you are literally gathering yourself each time you cross into a new space. We will revisit reframing common traps in the next part, but feel how rhythm already reframes them tonight. Craving is not a dragon. It's a visitor you feed well in the pause, so it doesn't knock things over. Aversion is not evidence that you are broken. It's a reflex you can surf with 2 sentences, and a small arc. Confusion is not a fog forever. It clears when you make the world small for a minute and expand it again on purpose. Let your breathing be simple now. If your mind wants to measure, give it the kindness of a number it can hold. 3 easy breaths, then rest your attention on the coolness at the tip of your nose for the next 3. Then let everything go slack. You are not under review. You are allowing the day to close in arcs. Before sleep, if it feels right, lay the track for tomorrow's first 2 intervals, or mentally place them by the mug on the counter. Promise something you can keep inside your life as it is. Let the promise be small and attractive, not flashy. When morning comes, the track will be waiting. You are learning to trust a steadier way. You do not need to transform by force. You can keep a beat, 1 honest step, 1 honest rest, again and again, until the shape of your days reflects what you care about. You can move through time like a kind metronome. Soft click to begin, soft click to pause, soft click to end. In that rhythm, a busy mind relaxes. It knows what to do next. May your hours find a gentle cadence. May your pauses feel like oxygen, not detours. May your beginnings be small and your endings clean. May the trellis of rhythm hold your growing life without pinching it. And when you forget and the day blurs again, may a single breath and 7 plain words lead you back to the next true arc. Let the quiet of the late hour surround you. The window is a dark mirror. Maybe a faint street sound reaches you and then fades into the stillness. Your toes can feel the texture of the floor or the softness of sheets. The air moves just enough to cool your cheek. Allow your breathing to widen like a calm inlet. The outflow a little longer, the return effortless. You are allowed to slow. You are allowed to listen. Tonight we will look closely at the 3 familiar visitors that pull attention off its path: craving, aversion, and confusion, and we will befriend them, not to excuse their detours, but to see their faces clearly and offer kinder responses. When you see them as messengers, not as villains, your options multiply. Gentle discipline is not about building a fortress. It is about learning the language of your mind's weather and steering with a soft hand. Begin with craving. Craving isn't only about sweets or screens. It is the tug toward more. The tiny spark that promises relief or excitement if you just click, sip, peek, buy, say one more clever thing. Underneath, craving is trying to help. It wants aliveness. It wants reward. It wants to cut through dullness or discomfort. The trouble is in its strategy. It points outward and it is impatient. If we fight it, it grows louder. If we indulge it endlessly, we feel thin. The middle way is to redirect it, to let its energy brighten the moment you are already in, or to place it gently in time so it stops stealing the edge of now. Try this small redirection. Savor switch. For 20 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, when the urge to reach flares, turn it toward what's here. Name 1 texture, 1 scent, 1 color, and 1 quiet sound in your environment. Let your exhale lengthen a touch as you notice each. If it feels helpful, bring the tongue to rest softly on the floor of the mouth to invite ease. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the urge feels less like a command and more like a wave you can ride. You aren't suppressing craving. You are feeding its hunger for vividness with presence. Often, the body relaxes because it realizes the world is not gray. There is flavor in the simple. Then, if a treat is appropriate, you can choose it from steadiness rather than compulsion. A second way to work with craving is to bargain honestly and keep your word. The mind learns trust when your promises are true. Honest treat. For 15 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, tell yourself after 1 small arc, I will enjoy a brief, real pleasure. Define both parts clearly. Write 2 sentences, then stand by the window for 30 seconds. Fold 5 shirts, then a square of chocolate eaten slowly. Read one page, then stretch your sides. Keep the promise even if the arc falters. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your system believes you. Craving calms when it knows a door is coming. You stop negotiating with yourself every minute. The tug loses its edge because it is respected without running the show. Now aversion. The flinch away from the first minutes of a task, the recoil from discomfort, the urge to delay until conditions feel perfect. Aversion is also trying to help. It is the bodyguard who thinks the first step is a threat. It hates the prickly start, the possibility of not being good, the friction of moving from rest to action. If we bully it, it hardens. If we obey it, we stall. The middle tone is to lower the threshold and enter anyway, letting aversion ride in the passenger seat while you steer. We'll give it a warm doorway. First slice. For 30 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, cut the task into the smallest edible piece and do only that. Wash one pot. Write the salutation and first line. Read 2 paragraphs and say aloud what they mean in plain words. If resistance spikes, place a palm on your belly and breathe out a shade longer before continuing. You can stop anytime. The practice finishes when you feel the first millimeter of momentum. Aversion hates open-ended commitments, tolerates slices. Once inside, the body discovers that doing is softer than dreading. The guard relaxes when it sees the room is safe. There is another useful move with aversion. Meet its heat with curiosity rather than argument. Temperature check. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, notice where the no lives: throat, face, belly, shoulders. Describe it as sensation: buzzing, tightness, heat, hollowness. Offer one exhale like a slow pour over that spot, then begin the smallest action. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the sensation dims by a notch or you begin despite it. When aversion is seen as sensation, it becomes less of a story about you and more of a weather pattern passing through. You stop reading it as a verdict. Now confusion. Confusion spreads fog. It loves wide horizons, endless options, complicated systems, and the promise that if you rearrange everything, life will finally click. Underneath, confusion wants safety. It wants to avoid wrong moves. It often shows up when you care deeply and the path ahead looks like a branching river. The middle way is to narrow the world on purpose and move one stone, then widen it again. We make the room small enough that the next step is obvious, and we accept that certainty is not required for beginning. Use a tiny compass. 2 questions. For 20 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, ask, what matters kindly right now and what is the next inch of that? Answer in 7 words or fewer. Speak it once softly. Begin there. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when your hands are moving on that inch. 2 simple questions cut through hours of swirl. Confusion doesn't disappear. It just has less room to thrive because the present is filled with a clear, kind action. You can also keep confusion from growing tall by reducing the number of choices at the top of an hour. Make the world small. For 30 to 90 seconds, if it feels right, put away or hide all tools except the one you need. Close tabs. Clear a square foot of desk. Tuck your phone under a cloth. Write 1 sentence naming the task in plain words and place it within your gaze. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the space looks as simple as your intention. The body loves a room with fewer doors. You feel less pulled because fewer handles are visible. A short story to hold all 3 visitors in your mind's hand. The Buddha once spoke of building a raft to cross a river. You gather reeds and branches to make something that floats. You use it to reach the far bank. After you arrive, do you hoist the raft on your back and carry it through the forest? No. You set it down with gratitude and walk on. In one reading, the raft is any helpful strategy, any craving to hold what helped, Any confusion that tells you more is always needed. The middle way is to use what serves, then release it. Craving loosens because not everything must be clung to. Aversion softens because you trust yourself to put down heavy things. Confusion fades because you no longer mistake tools for identity. Let's step into a few ordinary rooms and meet the visitors without drama. You sit to answer a delicate message. Craving appears as the urge to check a feed. Savor switch. The cup's cool rim, the scent of paper, the sound of the fan. Honest treat. 1 paragraph sent, then 30 seconds at the window. The urge becomes a wave that rises and falls against a shoreline that is you. You're studying and feel a wall. Aversion bristles. First slice. 2 paragraphs only. Temperature check. Warmth in the face. A tight ring at the base of the skull. Exhale like a slow pour. Begin the slice. 1 sentence lands and the rest stops shouting. You enter the kitchen after a long day. Confusion offers 5 possible starts and you freeze. 2 questions. What matters kindly? Feed the body. What inch? Rinse rice. Make the world small. Put away the mail pile, 1 cutting board, 1 knife, water on. A small rhythm returns. The meal begins. All 3 visitors will keep returning. That is not failure. That is biology meeting a human life. The practice is to recognize them early and offer the right-sized response. Over time, their faces become familiar and a little funny.
Craving in Ashbakli hat.
Aversion with its crossed arms. Confusion carrying a map the size of a bedsheet. You nod like a doorman who knows the regulars, and you keep the lobby calm. There is one more trap to reframe, the story about the visitors. Many of us turn the presence of craving, aversion, or confusion into a verdict about our character. I'm weak. I'm lazy. I'm scattered by nature. These stories intensify the second arrow. Instead, you can let the visitors be weather. Weather changes. You do not need to become a different person to practice. You can be you exactly as you are tonight and still choose the next kind inch. Use this simple line when the story starts to coagulate. Weather, not me. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right, place a hand on your ribs and say inside, craving is weather, aversion is weather, confusion is weather. I am the one who returns. Feel the ribs lift and fall once or twice. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the story loosens. Sometimes the visitors travel together. The urge to check rides with a flinch from starting, and the fog of options spreads behind them. When that happens, combine your smallest tools. Savor switch for 2 breaths, first slice for 30 seconds, 2 questions to choose the inch. That is enough to turn the tide. Bring kindness into the edges, too. When craving visits in the pause, nourish the pause so you don't stumble into a long escape. When aversion roars at the end of an interval because you are stopping too soon, remind yourself of leave 1 thread and the long arc you are serving. When confusion arrives as you shut down for bed, shelf breath and 3 stone breath give the mind a place to put its questions for the night. Consider how these reframes change your tone with others. A coworker derails a meeting with tangents. You can see craving for novelty and confusion in the lack of edges. You bring rhythm to the room. Let's answer 1 question now and save the rest in later. In family life, a child resists cleanup. Aversion is doing its job. You offer first slice and a song for 2 minutes. You are not fixing anyone. You are meeting weather with shelter. A brief practice to knit the reframes into your day like small stitches. Name warm dew. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, name which visitor is here. Warm yourself with a simple gesture. Hand to chest, longer out-breath, eyes soft. Do the next inch. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the inch is underway and the visitor is sitting quietly rather than driving. If it helps, Picture the visitors in 3 chairs near your desk. Craving is restless but teachable. Aversion is wary but loyal once it trusts you. Confusion is bright but easily overwhelmed. You are the host. You set the agenda with kindness and keep the meeting short. You thank them for their input, then you carry on. The body remains our ally. Craving often tightens the jaw and tingles the fingertips. Soften the mouth and lengthen the fingers. Aversion can narrow the eyes and hollow the belly. Widen your gaze and feel the weight of your seat. Confusion lifts the shoulders toward the ears and scatters the breath. Let the shoulders fall like warm sand and give your exhale an extra beat. Small physical moves signal safety and make mental moves easier. There is sweetness in noticing that each visitor contains a gift. Craving brings energy. When channeled, it fuels craft and curiosity. Aversion brings discernment. It helps you notice poor fits and protect your boundaries once it trusts you don't use it to avoid life. Confusion brings humility. It reminds you that not everything can be known before you begin and teaches you to ask good questions. The goal is not to eradicate them. It is to learn from them and keep them in their proper seats. If you feel tired right now, let tired be part of the room. Craving may want a bright hit. Aversion may want to avoid even one breath of noticing. Confusion may want to plan a new life by morning. Smile at them as you would at old friends who sometimes overstay their welcome. Offer one kind act to your future self. Fill the glass for morning. Place the note with 2 intervals by the mug. Set the phone in its garden. And let the night close around you like a soft coat. Before we end, one last story thread for your pocket. Imagine crossing the river on a raft you built with care. Midstream, the current tugs harder than you expected. Craving shouts to paddle faster toward shiny things. Aversion tells you to turn back. Confusion says build a new raft right here. You breathe, you aim the nose at the near bank, and you take one steady stroke. Another. When you reach the far side, you set the raft down and walk into the trees, lighter by all that you didn't carry. Let your breathing soften again. Feel the subtle weight of your chest rise and sink. The room knows you. The bed knows your shape. You can let the visitors rest on their chairs for the night. You don't need their company until morning. If thoughts return, whether not me and one long exhale. May your mind grow intimate with its weather and less afraid of its storms. May craving learn to savor, may aversion learn to trust, may confusion learn to ask 2 good questions and then begin. May the next true inch appear with less effort and more ease. And when you forget and tumble into the old patterns, may you remember that remembering is the path, and the path is walked with small, kind steps in an ordinary room, exactly like this one. The night is steady and kind. You might feel a small current of air slipping along the floor, or the soft give of your pillow beneath your cheek. Maybe the faint chorus of crickets, or the distant hush of tires on wet road, reminds you that the world keeps moving even when you are allowed to be still. The cloth against your skin is simple, familiar. Let your exhale be a little heavier, like a stone settling in a quiet pond. The room holds you. You do not have to hold yourself so tightly. Tonight is about loosening the costume you have worn all day. Not tearing it off, not burning it, just unfastening the buttons and letting identity sit on a chair for a while. This loosening is not abstract. It is practical medicine for a busy mind. Much of our inner friction comes from holding ourselves by the throat with names. The reliable one, the messy one, the anxious one, the unfocused one, the person who never finishes, the person who must always achieve. These names can be useful in small doses like labels on jars, but when they harden, they shrink your breathing space. Gentle discipline grows in the space left when identity relaxes. We'll begin by noticing how identity attaches to focus. Many of us learn to anchor our worth to output or to other people's weather. Praise becomes oxygen and criticism becomes drought. A productive morning means you are good. A slow afternoon means you failed. Then the mind whips itself to stay on the good side of its own scoreboard. That whip is noisy. Attention phrase. Tonight we practice a different posture. You are not your hour. You are not your last 5 minutes. You are the one who can return with care in any minute. To feel this, bring your attention gently to your shoulders and let them drop a fraction. Imagine sliding a name badge down and placing it on the nightstand. Not forever, just for now. The badge might read always on, holding everything together. Or it might read behind. Put it down beside the lamp. Feel how even that small imagination changes the air in your chest. Here is a micro practice to make this move tangible. Name tag down. For 20 to 40 seconds, if it feels right, imagine removing a name tag you wore today. See the words on it. Place it on a shelf or table in your mind. Whisper inside, I can meet this moment without a badge. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your breath finds a touch more room. When identity lightens, the 3 old visitors, craving, aversion, confusion, lose some leverage. Craving will often hunt for identity juice. One more check to feel worthy, one more task to be enough. Aversion flares when your image is at stake. If I begin and stumble, who will I be? Confusion clouds the sky with endless self-questions. What kind of person am I really? When the badge is resting on the table, you can meet the moment directly. Craving is just a wave. Aversion is just a prickly doorway. Confusion is just fog at ground level. You step or you rest without turning it into a story about yourself. There's a story told about the Buddha that helps loosen identity's grip. One day, a man came and hurled insults, like stones thrown into a still pond. He accused, he mocked, he tried to hook the Buddha into a fight. After a while, the Buddha asked a simple question. If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The man answered, to the one who brought it. The Buddha nodded. In the same way, if I do not pick up your insults, they remain with you. The insults did not define him because he did not carry them home. We can hold this as a human lesson rather than a mystical one. You do not have to accept every package handed to you, even when the package has your name scrawled across it. Praise and blame are both packages. They can be useful. They can also be heavy. Gentle discipline says, I will receive feedback that helps me learn, and I will place the rest on the shelf. My identity is not on the line tonight. A micro practice for that. Hand back the package. For 15 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, bring to mind a sentence you absorbed today. Praise that inflated you or blame that pierced you. Picture holding it as a box. Feel its weight. Say inside, I keep the tiny truth and set down the rest. Imagine placing the box at your feet. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when you feel a little taller from the inside. Identity also grips through roles. Parent, partner, worker, student, caregiver, friend. These roles matter. They organize love and responsibility. But when a role becomes a costume sewn too tight, focus suffers. You cannot do one thing at a time because the entire audience of your roles is shouting in your head. Tonight we practice wearing roles lightly, the way you would drape a shawl that can be lifted or lowered with the weather. Try this soft unhooking, one role at a time. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, choose the role that belongs to this next small span. Name it in simple words: resting body, letter writer, toothbrusher, listener to crickets. Let other roles wait at the doorway. If they push in, smile at them and point to the small chair in the hall. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your current action feels less crowded. When you hold roles lightly, boundaries become friendlier. You can be a caring parent without carrying every feeling your child has. You can be a dedicated worker without dragging your desk into bed. You can study without wearing the heavy coat of student all night long. Role lightness makes attention lighter. Another way identity tightens is through self-stories. I am the kind of person who must finish perfectly or not start. I am the one who always forgets. I am a night person. I am not disciplined. I am the strong one who never needs help. Stories can be maps. Stories can also be cages. Gentle discipline doesn't rip the cage apart. It slides the bar open a few inches so air can move. Try this simple wedge. Maybe line. For 10 to 30 seconds if it feels right. When a hard identity thought arrives, I never add the word maybe and then add a kinder alternative. Maybe I'm learning to start small. Maybe tonight is different. Maybe I can ask for help once. Speak it once softly. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the thought loses a little of its authority. The word maybe is not weak. It is strong enough to bend a bar. It gives your nervous system permission to experiment. It invites curiosity to replace verdicts. Focus prefers curiosity. It shies away from courtrooms. Identity lightening also means remembering that you are a body, not only a narrator. The narrator loves identity. The body loves sensation. When you return to sensation, identity softens because the narrator has less to argue with. Feet on the floor is not an argument. The coolness of the room is not a debate. The soft weight in your hands is not a thesis. It is reality. Reality is gentle on identity because it doesn't ask you to be anything. A physical practice that helps. Hands like bowls. For 20 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, rest your hands cupped as if holding water. Feel warmth gathering. Let your exhale pour into your palms. Imaginary but real enough. Think, I hold myself lightly. If it feels right, unclasp your fingers a little more. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your jaw eases or your eyes soften back. When you hold yourself lightly, repair gets easier. You can say, I drifted and return without theatrics. You are no longer protecting a brittle image. You are caring for a living organism. The 3 visitors will still show up. Craving will flare and say, prove yourself by doing more. Aversion will snarl and say, don't begin unless it guarantees your good name. Confusion will swirl and say, find the perfect self, then act. You can answer each from your lighter posture. I will do 1 true inch and see. There is a Zen image you may know, the empty boat. Late at night, your small boat is tied to a post. Another boat drifts with the current and bumps into yours. If the boat is empty, you do not get angry. You untie the knot, push the empty hull away, and watch it float. But if you see a person in the boat, you might shout at them and fill your body with heat. The teaching is simple. Most of what bangs into us is an empty boat. The world's bumps are rarely about you. Identity loves to take bumps personally. Attention relaxes when you see the emptiness. You can practice the empty boat in social moments and in inner ones. When a thought knocks into you, look at you failing again, you can ask, is this an empty boat? Often it is just old language drifting across the mind. You can untie, nudge it away, and continue your small arc. Use this when a thought feels sharp. Empty boat touch. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right, when a harsh thought hits, label it boat. Picture tapping it with a finger and giving it a push away from the dock. Whisper, not mine, not personal, passing. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your chest loosens a little or the thought loses urgency. Identity lightening is not erasing your history or your values. It is remembering that you are more than any one mask. It is making space for the human behind the roles to breathe. And when there is more breath, focus becomes cleaner. You do the next kind step not to be someone, but because the step matters and your body can take it. Let's bring this into ordinary rooms again. You are cleaning the kitchen and the narrator arrives with a judgment. No real grown-up lets dishes stack like this. Weather, not me. Empty boat touch. One roll at a time. Dishwasher, for 4 minutes. Start the water. Feel it on your knuckles. The roll lifts when the arc ends. You seal the edge. Done for now. You are answering a message and feel your chest seek praise. Honest treat is there if you need it after one paragraph. But you also practice hand back the package in advance. Whether this earns applause or silence, I return to who I was before this message. Someone practicing. The impulse to perform softens. The sentence grows plainer and truer. You are studying and a big story arrives. I am not a person who can learn this. Maybe line. Make the world small. 2 questions. Read 2 paragraphs and tell a plant in the room what they mean. Without the heavy badge, the first sentence doesn't feel like a referendum on your life. It's just a sentence. Sometimes identity clings to pain. If I am the tired one, the anxious one, the one who can't focus, at least I know who I am. There can be a comfort in familiar suffering. It organizes the day. Identity lightening here is tender work. You aren't ripping away the known. You are opening a window so fresh air can share the room with what hurts. A practice for that tenderness. Sit beside, not inside. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, imagine the difficult feeling sitting on a cushion beside you, not inside your chest. You sit next to it like a kind friend. You do not fix it. You offer presence. You place one hand on your own thigh to remind your body you belong here. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the feeling feels a millimeter less fused with your name. Compassion and identity lightening are one movement. You cannot hold yourself lightly if you are cruel. You cannot be truly kind if you are frozen in identity. The body knows this. Feel the muscles of your face soften, especially around the mouth. Let your tongue rest low. Feel the back of your heart, the part that faces the world behind you. Let it unclench by a breath's width. There, space for a self that doesn't need to prove anything tonight. Another small practice for when the day's scoreboard is loud. Close the book. For 20 to 40 seconds, if it feels right, imagine the day as a book in your hands. It has pages of attempts, kindnesses, mistakes, small wins, plain moments. Close it. Place the book on a shelf at shoulder height. Say, "We will read again tomorrow." You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the pressure to re-edit the day eases. Identity often tightens at night because darkness invites review. You can honor that the reviewer is trying to protect you from future pain. Then you can lovingly ask the reviewer to take the rest of the night off. Your system will learn slowly that rest is also a way to protect you. In the morning, the part of you that loves craft and care will work better because you did not hold an all-night trial. If it fits your life, imagine people you love lying in their own rooms tonight, each with their own name tags on the table, each with their own boats bumping the hull, each with their own breath moving in and out. Kisa Gotami's Town at Night. Doors closed, lamps low, humans learning to be human. Remembering this loosens the grip of a lonely identity. You are part of a wide field of beings practicing, failing, returning, and sleeping. Before we drift toward the final night of this journey, let's place one small promise shaped like identity lightning on the counter of tomorrow. Gentle name, gentle step. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, choose a new, soft way to name yourself for the morning: returner, beginner, steady friend. Then pair it with 1 inch, fill the glass, send one true message, stand under open sky for 2 breaths. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when you feel the name and the step linked like 2 palms meeting. If worry rises, will I keep it? Offer kind reset. Promise that fits. Leave one thread. You have the tools. The rope is woven. You are not alone. The badge can rest. The boat can drift. The package can stay on the ground. You will still meet your responsibilities. You will still care for the people you love. You will do it with a lighter hand, and focus will flow more easily because nothing heavy is clamped onto your ribs. Let your breathing slow again. Feel the mattress receive you, the way a shoreline receives a falling tide. If thoughts flare, give them a place to sit on the nightstand. If identity creeps back to sit on your chest, lift it gently and give it a pillow on a nearby chair. You are the host. You can tuck everything in and turn out the light. May you remember that you are not your output, not your last conversation, not your roll's tight coat, not the package someone tossed your way, not the story that says always and never. You are a living being who can return kindly. You can be firm without being hard, soft without losing form. You can keep your promises in a way that keeps you whole. And in that wholeness, attention becomes simpler, like clear water in a plain glass waiting beside your bed. Rest now or lie awake kindly. The room is steady. The night has space. The final part is near. We will close with a blessing and a woven path for evenings to come. For now, breathe and let the badge rest. Let the room dim to a soft blue-gray. Maybe the last of the night leans against the window, and the air is a degree cooler near the glass. Your pillow has found the curve of your cheek. Somewhere a neighbor's light clicks off and the house settles. Feel the gentle weight of your body, the honest gravity that never forgets you. Let your breath widen in a way that feels natural. An easy rise through the ribs, and a long, quiet pour back down. No performance is required. We are closing the circle together. We have walked through arrival and aim, through small rituals and steady rhythms, through stories that reminded us to set down what is finished and tune the string to a living middle. We have met the three visitors: craving, aversion, confusion, and learned to host them kindly without letting them run the house. We loosened the tight costume of identity and let roles rest on a chair. Tonight is for weaving these threads into one soft cloth you can wrap around your evenings. It is for blessing your ordinary life so practice can continue without effortful pushing. It is for rest that makes tomorrow kinder before it begins. Begin by letting the body speak first. Noticing is the simplest vow. Sense the soft spread of warmth where your shoulders touch the bed or chair. Sense the coolness where air brushes your skin. Let the eyes settle back into their sockets the way small stones rest in a riverbed. If it feels right, allow the outbreath to lengthen by a heartbeat, not as a task, but as permission. The day is done enough to set down. The night is wide enough to hold you. Gentle discipline, in the end, is 3 movements practiced in many forms. Compassion is the warmth that lets you return. Clear seeing is the honesty that chooses 1 true inch. Letting go is the opening of the hand after that inch is complete. Tonight we braid them in a few simple ways you can keep. No strict rules, just doors you can open when you wish. Try a small closing ritual to gather the day without judging it. Evening sweep. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, let your attention drift over the day as if you were sweeping a porch. Notice 3 honest things you did with care, however small. Sent a note, drank water, paused before speaking. Name them quietly. If a snag appears, something sharp or unfinished, place it gently on tomorrow's shelf. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your chest feels a touch more open. A sweep is not a trial. It's a clearing so the night air can move through. Craving may want one more task for the high of completion. Aversion may wince at the memory of an awkward moment. Confusion may try to redesign your whole life at 1 a.m. Smile at them. Whether not me, sweep, place, be held by the simple room you are in. Now let's gift your future self a single kindness that keeps trust intact. Future you gift. For 20 to 45 seconds, if it feels right, Choose one tiny action that will make tomorrow's first minute softer. Set a cup by the kettle. Lay out the notebook and pen. Place the walking shoes near the door. Do it slowly like a bow. Whisper inside, "I care for you." You can pause anytime. The practice ends when you feel a small, steady yes. Trust grows in these unglamorous gestures. When tomorrow you meets a cup waiting, a note ready, a path laid, the body recognizes itself as cared for. Focus becomes simpler because it's greeted by friendliness, not friction. There is one more practice for closing that touches the earth of your life directly. In old images, the Buddha, seated beneath a tree, touches the ground with his fingertips, not to summon a miracle, but to claim belonging to this ordinary world. We can do a quiet, secular version of that gesture. Touch the ground. For 10 to 30 seconds, if it feels right, let your fingers touch the bed, the floor, the arm of the chair, whatever holds you. Feel texture and temperature. Think, "This is where I am, and it is enough." You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your breath sinks lower or your jaw softens. Belonging to the ground loosens identity's grip and quiets the visitors. Craving needs less proving when you feel included in the fabric of things. Aversion loosens when safety is felt instead of argued. Confusion lifts when you know where you stand, here. Before sleep, we can gather all the separate tools into a single gentle flow you can repeat on any evening, compressed or expanded to fit your real life. Not a checklist to perform, but a lullaby for attention. The gentle arc. For 2 to 5 minutes, if it feels right, do these 4 moves in order. Arrive, 1 longer exhale and feel the weight of your body. Choose 1 true inch for tomorrow, written in 7 words or fewer. Clear. Place 1 unfinished thought on the shelf. Bless. Name 1 ordinary thing and thank it for its service. You can stop anytime. The practice ends when the mind feels 1 notch less busy. The details can change. The spirit remains. Presence, direction, release, gratitude. This is how gentle discipline keeps its shape without turning cold. Keeps you human-sized. You may notice a flicker of doubt. Will I keep this up? Here is a friendly answer. You will return. Not perfectly, not every day, not in a straight line. You will return because the returns are small, kind, and honest. The rope we've woven across these nights is not fragile. It's braided from many fibers. 1 fiber is the way you start softer. 1 is the way you end cleanly. 1 is how you name the visitors and give each a chair. 1 is how you put things down that are no longer yours to carry. Each fiber only needs to hold for a moment. Together, they carry you. If it feels good to mark the end of this journey with a story, hold this one for your pocket. A woman once asked a teacher how to maintain practice when life pulled her apart. The teacher pointed to a small bell on the windowsill. When the wind moved through the open window, the bell sang. When the air stilled, the bell rested. The teacher said, "You are not the wind, you are not the stillness. You are the bell. When the breeze comes, sing. When it settles, rest. In both, stay yourself. You have always been the bell. We have simply tuned the metal." Gentle discipline is the string inside that knows how to ring clear without being struck too hard. Craving is a gust. Aversion is a sudden slam of a door. Confusion is a swirl in the courtyard. You do not fight the weather. You anchor the bell. You keep the window open enough for life to move and closed enough to protect the flame. Here are 2 last small practices to slide into the seam between waking and sleep. Pillow breath. For 30 to 60 seconds, if it feels right, feel the exact place where your face meets the pillow or air. As you breathe out, imagine the pillow breathing out with you. Let each exhale lengthen by a whisper without effort. If thoughts try to stand up, you can invite them to lie down beside you and rest. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when your forehead feels a little heavier. Quiet name. For 10 to 20 seconds, if it feels right, choose one soft word to carry into sleep. Home, ease, return, gentle. Let it ride the out-breath once or twice. If it brings peace, keep it. If it doesn't, let it go. You can pause anytime. The practice ends when the word feels like a blanket rather than a command. This is enough. No heroic vows tonight. No rebuilding your life at midnight. Just a body allowed to belong to this bed. A mind allowed to set down its toolkit. And a heart allowed to remember that it doesn't have to earn its right to rest. If you wake in the night, you have anchors within reach. 3 stone breath to place conversations, plans, and self-evaluation on the floor beside you. Touch the ground to remind the body where it is. Whether not me when the visitors put on a show. Pillow breath to invite the nervous system to lower its shoulders. You are not empty-handed at 3 a.m. You are practiced and kind. As we close, let's speak a blessing over the small life you actually live. The one in these rooms, with these people, with this calendar and this body. A blessing that does not ask you to be other than human. May your mornings meet you gently, with a first step small enough to keep. May your afternoons carry a rhythm you can trust, work and breath, effort and ease, edges sealed, promises sized to reality. May your evenings offer you a place to set things down without blame. May craving learn to savor what is here. May aversion ride along while you choose the first slice. May confusion shrink when you ask 2 kind questions. May your inner voice grow warm and exact. A friend who knows when to nudge and when to wrap a blanket over your shoulders. May the people around you feel steadier because you are learning to be steady in simple ways. May your boundaries be soft to the touch and clear to the eye. May you keep repairing quickly without a courtroom. May you remember that identity can rest on the chair while the real you breathes and returns. May ordinary objects, cup, pen, key, towel, become companions in practice, quiet bell towers reminding you to begin, to pause, to close. May you trust that you can always start in the middle, that the next true inch is enough to move the day. May you honor endings and stop with a little goodness left so tomorrow finds you willing. May you look out the window sometimes and let the world refill your eyes. May your attention learn that it is safe with you because you do not scare it into focus or abandon it to the brightest thing. You invite it, you keep it company, you let it rest. And when you forget, because you will, may remembering arrive quickly and without drama. May the rope of practice hold even when you miss a stitch. May the bell ring clear again with the smallest breeze. May the ground remind you where you are. May your breath be a tide that keeps returning, no matter how far the mind wanders out to sea. If tears come, let them be water for the garden. If laughter comes, let it shake the dust from the shelves. If nothing comes, let nothing be enough. You are not required to entertain the night. You are invited to be held by it. Take a last look around your room softly. The shape of the lamp, the crease in the curtain, the way the air feels at the tip of your nose. Thank the body that carried you through this day, imperfect and courageous. Thank the mind that tried its many strategies to protect you, even when they tangled you up. Thank the heart that wants to love well. Offer them all a recess. Place the day like a book on its shelf. The shelf is sturdy. It has space for tomorrow's chapters. The spine doesn't need polishing tonight. Let the book rest. Let your hands be empty. The world can turn without your grip for a few hours. That, too, is discipline, the strongest kind, the trust to release. I am grateful to have walked this path with you, dear friend. You are not alone. Somewhere, in 1,000 homes, other hands place cups by kettles. Other feet pause at doorframes. Other breaths lengthen by a heartbeat. Other bells ring softly in rooms you will never see. You belong to that quiet choir. Sleep if you wish, or lie awake kindly. Either way, this night can be a sanctuary rather than a scoreboard. The lantern of attention can rest on its table. The window can stay a finger width open for a hint of air. The rope we've woven can coil neatly by the door, ready to be picked up in the morning, light, strong, made of human threads. May you be safe and at ease. May your mind be clear enough to choose the next kind inch. May your body feel welcomed home. May your discipline be gentle and sure. May your rest be deep and ordinary and good. Good night.